Nothing like overcooked microwave popcorn. It either won't pop or it burns. It burns! It burns! And enough salt to cure a country ham. Oh, man. This is bad for me, I know. Nom, 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 nom. Just waiting for some guests. Just decided to go ahead and start this one up, not procrastinate, and get something going on out there. We'll get some guests shortly when they stop messaging me. And figure out that they've been invited and to come on in.
Okay.
There we go.
I didn't see the private message.
We're live.
You should. We're live?
Yeah.
Hey, everybody.
I figured since things didn't work out last night, I would just go ahead and make sure that there was something here at least. I feel bad about that.
Okay.
Things didn't quite work out like I intended. Of course, I didn't really know what was going on entirely, so there we go, and I'm sorry for that.
Well, and that was my fault, and I'll apologize too, because I was trying to take us live from the non-compliance event in Olympia, Washington, so people could hear the regular agenda people doing what they do. But instead, I found Scott, and that's really my main reason for going. I wanted to see a few other people that usually show up, but
hey, in my book, that spending the time with him to shoot that vid was totally worth it.
Absolutely. I could have cared less about anybody else there. I knew, as much as they said it was non-compliance and people did pass back and forth their weapons and actually burn their concealed carry permits, which I thought was stupid, because, you know, eventually they're going to want to replace that, you know. Sheriffs aren't going to, just because they had this event, the police aren't going to say, you know, that's cool, you burnt your concealed carry permit, you know, we'll let you slide. I mean, so. All right, you want me to, I'm going to tell you what it was. I usually go to these events. You want me to do this and tell you how it was? How I see the...
You say what you want said.
Okay, you don't, because you know where I'm going to go with this.
I don't care.
Okay, there you go. All right, here we go. Now, I usually go to every one of these events in Washington State and Olympia because it is not that far for me to get there. And we had gas in our car, and it's like, let's just go. And, of course, I wanted to see Scott and a few other people who weren't there. And this is strange because there's usually Hispanic, African Americans, everybody. Washington State, there's usually gay people there, and I think I saw one gay person there, and they left. And so there's always just at least a group of everything. This seemed to be like.
Don't the Pink Pistols have a chapter out there? They're an open carry group, ain't they?
Mm-hmm. So here we had, and I'm not meaning to offend anyone, so take this any way you want. The police were nicer to me than the people in the audience. Just being quite honest, there it was more of a tea party, white Christian divide and conquer thing. Actually, my presence didn't seem to be very welcome, except by people like Scott.
State-loving Zionists, as I call them.
Yes, it's exactly. And they even were playing Christian music, and I thought, there's a separation of church and state. Am I echoing? And I don't know where we are.
Good.
Well, I hear my echo. Do you know where we are on YouTube? Can you put a link? For me?
Oh, so you can see. I can't comment on YouTube, but I will jump over there and see if I can find it. Something's wrong with my browser, and I can't comment on YouTube videos with it right now. So, and that's really annoying.
Yeah, that is. My point. Why you're doing that. My point was the government. And I hate the government because I will repeat this again, to govern means to control, means the mind. So I hate the mind control because it's working and it's dividing us all. I went there thinking it would be the same crowd. It's usually a same crowd. And this was when they had, like I said, that sheriff that everybody who's been on Alex Jones and here and there. And he's from Navajo County, Arizona, and I believe that's where those Apaches are. And there's going to be, they're going to be kicked off their land due to some mining company. They're going to be relocated again. So, seeing an Indian there probably wasn't the greatest thing he wanted to see. But, do you see what I see?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want?
I gave her an invite. I don't know why she can't get in. I'll do it again.
All right. I was going to just send it on here like this. See. Oh, she got it.
Well, now she's going to get two.
Oh, there she is. Our dear sister.
Hey, what's up, Ray? Well, she'll be connected in a second.
Yeah. I'm going to look for you on YouTube real quick.
This doubled for some reason.
Okay, I got you. I see you. All right.
I don't know what it is with this. I get double everything. I make one post, it makes two. Sometimes it even makes 4 posts. I'm like, geez. I go to looking and I get people, or people plus one, the same post twice, and I go look and I'm like, uh-oh. And I go look on my profile and it's like there's like 4 of them. I'm like, oh man, I got to delete a bunch of these.
Well, that happens to me. There she is. I'm trying to share this. We are live, sister.
All right.
What?
Now,
she said we're live.
I know what Ray's been doing today, but maybe Ray would like to tell us what she's been doing.
You want to hang out?
Oh, making bread. Enjoying my family.
I'm gonna say something.
Yes,
I can call Ray, and it doesn't matter who answers the phone. They know who it is. And this is the most wonderful family. If you're ever down and out, you need to know a family like this, because your family is spectacular, and it brings tears to my eyes. Really, it does, because I even love Mama, okay? And Emmett and everybody, they're just a joy. Your family is wonderful. They are the most polite, sincere people I've ever talked to.
Oh, I thank you. They are. They really are. And it's something that we all work together on.
Well,
Kind
I
of a
want. Go ahead.
kind of a mutual love and understanding of one another.
It really shows you've done a wonderful, wonderful job, and I mean, even taking on the homeschooling rate, which is that's difficult in itself, but boy, has it paid off. I mean, wow, your children are the future, and those are the kind of kids I would love to see in the future instead of the ones that are being brought up in the public education system because your children have it. I mean, each one I've talked to on the phone, they've got it. So,
That homeschooling has really been an experience, though. It's amazing, absolutely amazing how smart these young people are, number one, how quickly they catch on. And the other thing is the unity that it brings into your family, where you're all working for the betterment of the other person. So you're working for the betterment of each child individually. It's awesome. I would highly recommend it to everybody that has children.
Yeah.
It's remarkable.
Yeah, and no one is gonna understand your own kids or your kids in your family or even your neighbor's kids as well as you're gonna know them, and then in the case of their own parents also too. I mean, you send your kids to a public school, there's like, 40, 50, 60 of them in there with this stranger and all these strange people. And, they just become a number, something to be processed.
Well, you're right. You're right. And the other thing that I've noted that I really appreciate homeschooling for, uh, as human beings, each and every one of us, I don't care if we are 1 year old, even newborn babies, for goodness sake, or if we are a centurion, we wake up some days and we're just not in the mood, or we don't have the energy, or I need another hour of sleep. Many things affect our mortal being, our mortal bodies, and it's unpredictable. It just happens. I think women can really appreciate this. They've got their 28-day thing, but with these children, we have Miss Jady. Miss Jady is our little night owl. She doesn't like to go to bed early, never has, and she requires that extra 1 or 2 hours of sleep in the morning, where Michael is an early bird. He's that guy that gets up before the birds do, and he's always been like that. He's always jumping up, getting on it, but even if he has a bad day, he'll say, Dad, I need another hour or whatever, and you can schedule yourself accordingly. Whereas with public school, the bell rings and you've got to be on it, whether you like it or not, and it doesn't matter how you feel. So there's another side to this homeschooling that makes it so valuable. It really does.
Yeah, I don't know how much, I couldn't even calculate how much better I could have done in school if on the days that I just really was just not in the condition to be doing it, I could defer that to another time.
Yes.
Colds and flu and stuff, it really wrecks your performance.
now,
Well, there's days when JD or David or Michael, sometimes all of them, will double up on their math course. In other words, they do their daily assignment and they go, I'm going to do tomorrow's, and they'll jump and do tomorrow's also. And then maybe tomorrow they're just kind of not really with it, and Mom, I'd like to do more reading, or I really want to work on my history, and they'll set their math aside and they'll go ahead and do it the next day. And so you've got this governing over it as long as they put in the hours that they're supposed to for their school day. And it works where it balances out so well. And they can check their own performance. They can check their own grades. They've got a place online where they can go and they see their own performance. And if they see a number dropping or a percentage dropping, they'll come to me and they'll say, you know, why did this happen? And we can go back through the course and we can say, well, you had trouble here. And you can go back and redo the assignment. You have 3 chances. It's not just stamped in concrete.
Now,
So it gives
Oh,
the
yeah.
child motivation that, you know, I'm going to win. I know I can do it. Give me one more chance. And they do it.
would
Yeah, I
you
noticed
just
there's
spell
certain
them
things myself that, you know, and you know, that we learn different things at different rates. Some things maybe we have a little bit of trouble with until we just get it. I can remember back in high school, my first day of biology class, I spent the entire class reading the first page. I just could not understand the wording of the book. And I just kept rereading it, and eventually I understood what they were trying to convey, and I did pretty good.
You're right.
I had to take the time to get it because it didn't make any sense. It was
A foreign language to you.
well, yeah, and the way the descriptive language was more from a point of view of somebody that already knew all this stuff. So it really
Right.
wasn't the best textbook in the world, but I finally understood what they were trying to say.
Now,
Now-
what were you saying, sis?
Yeah,
I
I'm
want
sorry.
you to dispel a myth that everybody I've said you should homeschool, because I was a public school teacher and homeschooled. When I quit, my child came out with me. Now, this is the myth I get when I suggest this, is my child won't have any socialization with other children, and that is such BS.
Oh, my goodness. Let me tell you what. We've got all kinds of socializing events that take place. You have meet the teacher, meet your classmates. You've got ice skating. You've got roller skating. You've got, they're having a dance, a black light dance, and the list goes on and on. They've got day at the zoo. They've got, and you socialize. You meet each other. They also have their own Facebook type system where the children can go in and they converse with each other. They even tutor each other. It's cute as heck. So they work together and they communicate. The social life is actually healthier.
Yes,
It is
it
far
is.
healthier because we know what kind of people our children are communicating with. They're like minds.
I
It works
thank you for
well.
doing that. Yeah, see, I wanted you to do that since you are doing the homeschooling, because I knew this already. But just to hear it from someone else, so there is no excuse not to homeschool your children.
Not
None.
unless the parents, the thing that I see, and I've come across this a lot, sadly enough, and I don't like using the term shame on you. I don't like that term, but I will say, parents, you need to re-evaluate your stand on it. How much time do you want to devote into the future of the earth, the world, the children? Because they are the future, and dismissing them or pushing them aside or letting somebody else handle it, you'll find doesn't work as well as you taking the time to do it yourself. And even if you work full time, for homeschooling, you do the scheduling. So if you work until 4 or 5 in the afternoon, why can't their day in school start at 5 or 6 in the evening? Because it can. You can also, if they have a sitter or a neighbor or somebody else that's doing homeschooling, you can work together. You can easily help the child achieve their goals in homeschooling if you just want to apply yourself.
And my son liked to play sports, and he still was allowed to do that, even being homeschooled.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've got our little musician, and every morning he catches the public school bus, and he goes to first period, which is band, and he's in the he's been in the high school marching band, he's in regular band, and he's in the 8th grade. So he does that one period, and then we just simply drive down and pick him up when that period's over, and he comes home and starts his homeschooling courses or his curriculum. And the older boy was in acting. Same thing with that. The only place he could get acting was in the public school, so he was allowed to go for the one period with a public school, and that went on his report card. It went on his credits. So yes, it does work. You can work it both ways.
Absolutely. And that, I wanted that put out to dispel any myth that homeschooling, because I have heard every excuse in the world, and there is really no excuse for not homeschooling your child, especially if you are a stay-at-home parent. I, for the life of me, cannot figure out why stay-at-home parents don't want to be around their children and guide them into the future, which, like you said, they are the future, and we need to guide them right, and have some unknown person you don't know doing this instead of you.
Well, I'll tell you this, though, sis. There are days when it can be trying. It
Absolutely.
was not easy. It was not easy to teach JD division when she still hadn't grasped all of her multiplication. And so you have to rehash things, and you have to have that time, that, I want to say, calmness, because it is a calming. You have to be able to repeat and repeat without the frustration. Granted, I know my times tables. She didn't. And I had to do some self-reflecting and go back to how hard it was for me to understand, when all I wanted to do was count on fingers and add, because that was easy. I had my fingers and my toes, but when you multiply, it's quite different. So you do have those moments where you have to just pull back and let go of the frustration and accept the fact that this child is doing something brand new for the very first time.
Well,
One moment, please.
The 24 minutes are up on your bread.
Okay, will you please go ask Michael to take the bread out of the oven and butter it? I thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Wonderful children she has. I am an unindoctrinated public school teacher. I don't think I ever got indoctrinated into it, because I saw teachers scream at children. Children don't go home and tell their parents the teacher screamed at me, or I even saw a teacher post on their door one child's name and said, "Don't forget your homework and don't use your mother as an excuse." Well, his mother was ill. And you don't scrutinize and pick out and target one kid, because the rest of the kids picked on him. And I saw things and you know what you're feeding your kids also for lunch. And right there, it's scary to me. Even lunch, when I was a public school teacher, was scary. My child did not eat. He did like the salad bar, but he did most of the time didn't eat their foods if I could, have my say, and I wouldn't touch their food. Mystery meat, that's what the kids called it. Truly, it was something mysterious. And I think that is just wonderful what you're doing, and I know your day is busy, so we're lucky to have you here today, and thank you for coming on.
It's Sunday, so there's no school today, but, I really do. I can't promote it enough, and I can't say that it isn't great. I will say this, though. Again, our television is absolutely wrong, and the program, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, needs to be Are You Smarter Than a Fourth Grader? Because these children pick up so fast, and I have had to actually do my own studying to say, now, am I doing this right? Because it's been how many years? And I haven't had to use this stuff for years.
And I wonder if some of the stuff these kids will even have to use. I used to think this when I was teaching. Are they really going to need what we're trying to push on them? And you know where I'm going with this. And your kids now are going to be taught the facts of life by you, and not by sex education, which now is in elementary school. sex education.
Oh,
For
and
kindergartners on up.
what they're teaching is not appropriate for that age. I'm sorry. Oh,
It's
nasty.
not appropriate for me.
No, me neither.
I mean, I have read some of the Common Core just to see what. When I was a teacher, they started sex education, and it started in 5th grade, and my son was not allowed to go. However, I did, and it's sponsored by Planned Parenthood. I don't know if the public knows this, that it is a Planned Parenthood think tank that started this. Now, in 5th grade, I did watch one of the classes, and they brought in somebody because no teacher at our school was going to teach this. They literally put condoms over bananas, taught them how to use condoms in 5th grade. 5th grade. And then once they took the condoms off, they could pass the bananas around and eat the bananas if that's not subliminal. And this is when I was a teacher, and that's been a long time. And surely it has had, what I'm reading, they're starting in kindergarten. And it's up to me to tell my child, you know, my child was not going to be influenced by DARE, by sex education, and they were not going to be tagged by any psychologist there. And I actually was the psychologist for the school because I had to go to a seminar. If anybody thought outside of the box, I was supposed to send them to. There was a list of doctors to put them on medicine, sponsored by Big Pharma. And I just could not participate in the system. I had to quit. I quit with 6 other teachers and a nurse on moral principles, but we were replaced just like that.
Let me say this, sis. That's another thing that you brought up just a moment ago, Diz. With all due respect to everybody and the listeners or anybody that happens to see this, it is time. And history is proof. Let's go back in history and let's move forward. Let's go to the 50s and move forward. This thing with parents saying, well, homeschooling, you know, I can't do that for my child. They don't have their social life. Social life. We need to quit focusing on socializing being the most important part of what's going on. What we need to focus on is life skills. These children need to learn, yes, they need to learn the curriculum because the federal government and the states say so. But learning more valuable information is on life skills because we're in a time that is very unpredictable. We discuss everything, even the news, with these children. We let them know what's going on in the world, and we do it in a way that is not frightening to them, but it is bringing their awareness to where they will see, should anything happen in front of them, you know, where it came from, how it came to be, what brought it to this point. They need to learn about how to take care of Mother Earth. Mother Earth is suffering, and it's through the ignorance. And yeah, okay, go out and party. Go out and make sure you have friends. Let's go to a school dance. Let's go out and have a burger. How about let's go plant a tree?
Yes.
How about let's go build and work on a garden? Let's do some landscaping. Let's take care of Mother Earth. Work on something. JD just had a project, and she was supposed to write an essay. Now, this is a 4th grader. An essay of her choice on something that could or would change the world. And I told her, I said, I'm going to give you a few days to think about this. You know what you know, and I want you to watch the news. I want you to listen to people. And I want you to come up with something that you think would be valuable to change the world. And you know, that little girl absolutely blew my mind. She thinks the water needs to be fixed. We need to have a way to make sure and ensure that the water heals itself and that the ocean gets better and is not sick. She thinks we need to get rid of nuclear power. She's very concerned about that. And the reason she's concerned is because she can't go out and play in the snow after Fukushima. And she knows why. She knows what's in that snow. She knows about how it came across. She saw the map. Now, she wouldn't have learned this in public school.
No.
Here in our school, when we're talking about the world map, and we're talking about the United States, and we're talking about what happened in Japan, pardon me, she gets to see how the radiation flowed and what happened and how the tsunami hit. These are things that our children need to know. They don't need to know how to go out and make friends. They'll make friends. They'll make friends that work on the same projects they work on, and they will become better people, better human beings than we were, if they learn the values of life skills, what it is going to be to make the world a better place for everyone. That's my opinion.
Kids make friends automatically rather easily. I mean,
Yes.
of what value is this so-called social experience called, the public school life? Honestly, in hindsight, I put it akin to a poorly run daycare, or maybe even go so far as to say, a jail for kids, because the things that go on in these schools, the things that are allowed to go on, and the way that they treat the students, is more like prison guards and wardens to inmates than it is to faculty to children. It's really screwed up. And I mean what we have the signs that the mentality is so much changed. We have these lockdowns and these inspections and all this other stuff, and then they say, oh well, the problem is that the students are bringing in stuff from bringing in negative influence from the outside world. I tend to think that the way that the administration and whatnot of them is structured is to actually set up a situation to where it's really all I can say is it's just really ugly and hostile and dangerous.
Now, I'm going to say something, and it'll be involving Ray, and if you don't mind, I'm going to use a conversation we had on the phone.
Go ahead.
Recess used to be, every kid looked forward to recess, and now recess has gotten real, from what I'm reading, recess is, I don't know if kids can even talk to one another. It certainly isn't recess. But one day, Ray and I are talking on the telephone, and she said, hold on, and I don't know if it was who was stuck in the tree. She said, I've got to retrieve a child from a tree, and Ray actually climbed the tree and got a child who was stuck in the tree out, which was funny because these things, tree climbing, getting your knees skinned, these things are not happening, playing in the dirt. Yeah. The regular things are not going on in schools, yet at Ray's house, the kids are acting like kids. And
exactly.
That's the kind of social experience that they need. Recess, playing, the kids being kids,
Well, they're not allowed
anymore. It improves their concentration. It improves their behavior. Improves their overall well-being, and they've taken it completely away from them.
Dish, you're absolutely right. We used to sit around. We played jacks at recess. We played tetherball. We played hopscotch. We played marbles. They're not allowed to take those things to school anymore. Marbles might hurt somebody. Jacks will definitely hurt somebody.
Oh, the liability. We just can't do liability.
The list goes on and on and on. And jump ropes, come on. A rope, somebody might hang themselves. They're lining the children up, and they are bringing them to this point where all they can do is stand around and talk. And the sad thing is the children are so not versed on reality that they stand around and talk about fantasies. They talk about movies that aren't real, games that aren't real. They're removed from reality.
Well, and families are too, though. You think about that.
Yes.
Their family life is completely removed from reality because everything is based on, like you said, the television, the games, the movie stars from Holy Weird.
Yes.
All that. You know, if you don't look a certain way or dress a certain way, you're looked down on. And that's just plain wrong. I mean, that's not the way we should get back to reality, because like your very first statement, which that's kind of an Indian thing, and now we're spreading this to everybody else. Children are the future. We only borrow this earth for a short time, and we are supposed to leave it in a better place than when we were brought into it. And I'm ashamed to say right now, we're not doing a very good job as the human race in protecting these future generations. So it's time. Now, I can comprehend a single parent who's having to work. As long as they're, and I see what this posted here, go ahead. Go ahead, Ray.
Single parent that has to work, I know where you're going with this. Where's the rest of the family? These children belong to all of us. And we are all brothers and sisters. And there is no reason that a neighbor, a brother, a sister, a cousin, an aunt, an uncle, a grandma, a grandpa. Hello, I'm a grandma. I adopted these children. You know, somebody step up to the plate.
That's right. And who do you? I love being around, and I, you know, even though we're both grandmothers, and so that means we're kind of moving on in years. But I love being around my elders, and mine are all deceased, so it doesn't matter which elders I'm around. I still enjoy listening to my elders, because what they have to say is now being erased with this new system, and they have such wisdom, it blows my mind, and they're still spot on. Like, I listen to your mama in the background.
Yeah.
She's sharp as a tack. I love mama. And she's sharp as a tack. So we should be listening to our elders and stuff. And that's who we learn from. And not from a teacher in school. I was a teacher. You don't learn. They have an agenda. We had a schedule that this, and this had to be covered. And I actually stayed after school and worked with children who could not read, because there was this thing called No Child Left Behind, and they would just throw anybody through. And I thought certain children should be able to read. And so we would read. And hi, sweetie. How are you?
Here.
So how are you?
Good.
Good. Did you have a long night last night?
Sure.
Sure? Well, who's the photographer?
Huh?
Are you the photographer?
Yeah.
Yeah? So I know some things about you. I won't say it on live, though. Okay? I just want to tell you that it's awesome. Hi, sweetie.
She said hi. Here, Jay.
Hi.
How are you, sweetie?
Good.
You're good? You look good. You look beautiful.
Thanks.
We were talking about you guys and your homeschooling and how good you're doing.
Yeah.
Now, can you tell? You're live on the internet. Do you like homeschooling?
Yes. There's a lot of fun stuff.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, we get to use clay, and I get to paint and stuff.
Well, aren't you a little artist anyway?
Yeah. Oh.
Yes. Not yet.
Yes. Can I show you something I did with oil pastels?
Yes, please. That is beautiful. Isn't that beautiful?
You can see the mountains and the shadows and boards up here.
Yeah, absolutely. You did a great job.
Thank you. Here's Mom back.
That's homeschooling, folks. That is what homeschooling does. That was beautiful. I mean, now Ray's children are all artistic. She has the painter, she has the musician, she has the photographer, she has a whole house full of artists. So she has to also not only be teacher but supervise the artists, and they're all cooks. All your children.
Oh, they love to cook. Love to cook.
That's something that's so much lost in public schools. Also, is art. It's considered like an unnecessary thing. My opinion is without allowing the right brain to flourish, the left brain will struggle.
Oh yeah.
Boy, that's true. Very true.
We have to be balanced.
It needs to flow back and forth.
But
Work
you
together.
let your children, you do let your children be creative. Like, I don't know if many children saw the video of your son and his music and the things he did with his room and the photography that went into it. And so I don't know. We need to promote some of these things, Ray, just so people see what does happen in homeschooling. And I'm going to tell you, I do talk to Ray on the phone, and her children, and this is the most polite family. This is something that'll take you back in time, Ray. We should just one day have. I know we're doing a lot of this because I want to push homeschooling, but one day have your children just talk to us. Make a day and let them talk to us, and maybe answer questions for the adults in the audience.
Oh, that would be great.
Because
that would be great.
Yes, because every time I call, I am, I am just overwhelmed by their sincere, their politeness, everything. They're nurtured. They'll tell me what they're cooking and helping with and stuff. They're just awesome children. And
do you remember? Sis, do you remember the video I did where Fukushima had happened and the children kept hearing it on the news? And so they were filled with a lot of questions. And I would answer them as best I could with a little bit of knowledge that I had about these types of disasters. And so we had to go online and start doing some research. And the more research we did together as a family, each on their own computer, researching their own topic, we started putting it together. And then I did this interview with each child individually and did a video on it and put it online for the people, for our friends and family out there in YouTube. And it was amazing what these children said. Amazing.
People don't. I don't want to say things if I shouldn't. You guys actually have family meetings where you discuss everything.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is left out, and I think we did when I was a kid. My aunt and uncle we did that also, and I think that's something that's missing from just families right now, where it's everybody. It is a family. That means everybody's involved, and you shouldn't lie to your children. You just should not lie to your kids about any of this.
How can you lie to a child and then turn around with your finger in their face and say, "How dare you lie to me?"
That's right.
You have no right, you have no authority to say that if you've lied to them, because you are, in fact, the teacher.
Well, it corrupts everything. It corrupts trust. It corrupts, basically your authority. It corrupts, it just, it's a heartbreaking thing for the kid. I mean, I've experienced it myself, and it really does, tend to turn the world upside down in a way, what not, everything that we're taught, to value the golden rule and all this, and it gets turned on its ear, that's, and then wonder why, that children have all these secrets and they don't trust, adults or anybody of any authority.
I am
Or even their own parents or whatnot. It depends upon where it's applied.
I was probably a cruel parent because my child said, "Is there any such thing as Santa Claus?" And I said no. And also the Tooth Fairy. He went ahead and tricked me with that one because, and I said, "Hon, there's no Tooth Fairies. I don't, we're just going to not lie in this family about something I'm going to have to be responsible for and say, yes, I lied to you." And once you start lying to your children, as fun as it is for the adults to have Santa Claus and all that, that is a program. That is a program for consumerism, period. It's better just to spend time with your family and tell them the truth. I know some parents will disagree. It is fun to watch kids think magical things, but really we need our children focused in reality at this point, in this time we're in, instead of, like you said, the fantasy and the TV promotes stupid stuff, and the video games are even worse.
Well, yeah, I mean, what does TV stand for? I mean, it's just a promotion of business interests. I mean, when we first got cable TV when I was a little kid, I was flipping through the channels. I'm like, why all these commercials? We're paying for this, As in my mind, I thought, well, if I paid for it, then I wouldn't have to deal with the advertisement because I was paying to watch this stuff. Why should I be subjected to advertisement? Which I understood as what paid for TV. But yeah, you can't pay your way out of it. You can't escape it, and it's just commercialism, and it is a business suitable. Everything that's promoted is a business suitable model. Rather than
Well, you wrote something over here on.
It's not open, and it's not a free medium. It's very, very controlled. The television programs, the news itself, even.
Well, the news just repeats itself over and over and over and over again. To me, that I just couldn't take it no more. It was like, and also it distracts people. You can't have a conversation with a human being that is watching television. It is a fact. You walk in there and try to have a conversation with them, and you might get 1 minute of their attention, but they automatically go right back to that television.
How about this? How about this? The cell phone P-pads, BlackBerry, Blueberries, whatever these things are, and everybody's sitting around like this, texting and right across the table from each other or in the same room, and you cannot have a real conversation, eye to eye, facial expressions, love, empathy, understanding, compassion, you name it, with this piece of technology. I made a joke the other day. I said, if aliens are real, if you look at their hands in all these drawings, they've got these 3 fingers and they've got one great big long thumb. Well, it came from all of this.
I want to tell a story. I recently went to a Mexican restaurant. We know the owners. And I noticed they used to be packed, and now there's nobody there, and they have very, very good food. And I went in, and the lady I won't say her name. She hugged me and sent me where we kind of got, I guess, this reserved seating. Yeah, I hate those things.
Speaking of the demon.
The lady told me, she was telling me that her child, her youngest child, who's like 8 or 9, wanted a cell phone for Christmas. And their restaurant, ever since this immigration and that promotion of immigration, or the hate the immigrants or something, she's an American citizen even though she's Hispanic. People are not going to her restaurant. So they're a good business is going under because of her culture, the color of her skin. And so she said, we're not even going to really have a Christmas, and how do I tell she doesn't approve of cell phones. She doesn't own them. But she told her child, no, you can't have a cell phone. But she said, and we may not have Christmas this year. And her child said, that's okay, can we just have some Mexican chocolate? And, of course, the mother was happy. But she told me that at the restaurant, most of the time, people are sitting around texting one another instead of looking face to face, eye to eye. There'll be 4 people at the table, like Ray just said, and they're texting one another. And she thinks it's insane. She doesn't comprehend it. And I don't either. I don't have a gadget. Well, I'm going to take that back. Someone loaned me one during our storm. So the gadget phone, I have one in my possession. I don't know how to use it. So he does have a gadget phone, and he found a game on it, and it's addicting. I can't keep him away from the addicting. It's a casino game, and it's an addiction. I see it. And I don't approve with the texting while driving either.
I got to ask, how is it not hypocrisy to be against so-called, illegals coming into freeload, and at the same time, using that as an excuse to, in some weird, twisted, upside-down way, to deny business to people that just happen to be of similar ethnicity that are actually being productive and trying to do what you say they should be doing.
Exactly. And if people really knew anything about the Mexican people, they were some of the greatest farmers on this earth. And, their lifestyle was taken over, or their culture was taken over by big agra. And,
Yeah, NAFTA did a lot of damage. It flooded our markets with our subsidized GMO foods, and it decimated their farms.
It did, and some of them were removed from their own land that they owned. Some of them were forced to work in the fields, and a lot of them are dying of kidney failure at young ages, such as 30 years old. A farm. Imagine a farm that's been in your family for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, and now you're having to work like you're on a plantation for big agra, and everybody's dying because of the chemicals.
That is not from your country, and that is subsidized from the country that it comes from. Yeah, they just pretty much just destroyed them, and then come in and started taking their land because they had no way of, paying the bills. So it's really a really horrific thing.
It really is, and
terribly
I know.
Good. And if half the people out there knew and would really acknowledge it, I don't think they could say half the things that they say.
Well, you and I had a conversation, and I'll say it wrong, the Zapatistas, and their armed revolution against, this didn't start yesterday, this is an ongoing thing, where they've tried to take back their government, and they actually have asked help from American citizens, when they could, can you help us? We want to take back, we want to kick the big ag out, we want to do this. And now they are being deemed the terrorists of Mexico. And they just beheaded a teacher because they started cultural, it's like a treaty school here where they bring you back to your culture, the native culture. They were trying to bring the Mexicans or the Hispanics or Mexico's people, I don't know the name they want to be called, back to being the way they were and get away from the empire system. And that's what the Zapatistas were trying to do. And they did it with shovels, pitchforks, and whatever weapons they could find. And they did conquer town by town and kick the drug lords out and the government out and try to make community. However, now they're being blamed for all the trouble.
Yeah, they're being blamed for things that the drug gangs are doing. I mean,
And the government.
Yeah, and the government, of course, the government's working against them because the government is in bed with the cartels. Absolutely, and their history, from what I understand, they've been around for back since the 60s or the 70s.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an old movement. It's not just something that just popped up yesterday.
Are we talking about Mexico?
Yeah.
Yeah, those Zapatistas.
Oh my gosh, yes, the Juarez. I read somewhere the other day, a couple days ago, that in Juarez alone, they have actually had more murders than the lives that were lost in the Iraqi-Afghanistan war.
Well, and the Zapatistas are trying to take back their country and their power, but the government now has, and they even started schools, to teach their traditional ways, back to farming, back to doing this, back to that, and everything they've done, they've been, they even asked Americans, citizens, to help them. Don't smuggle guns to the drug lords and this, smuggle guns to us, we'll take our country back,
Oh, Holder ain't gonna like that.
No, it's not good for business. The CIA don't like it. The police state war on drugs. We can come in and confiscate all your goodies if we accuse you of having some drugs or something or other. They ain't like that either. I mean, there's a huge business built around it, and it is supported from both sides.
Well,
exactly.
The last time I was in Mexico, which has been probably 40 years ago, 35 years ago, maybe 30 years ago. I don't know how old I am right now. But I was in Paso Juarez. I went deep in. That's where I crossed in El Paso. And went kind of deep in. And every manufacturing company, any place there was electricity out there, had signs saying, America wants you to work at Tyson, or and then they'll even use American citizens. And now, can you imagine seeing these signs written, and these people thinking that American citizens need them here because we've got so many jobs, and then they get here and they are treated like shit for all practical purposes. And so the governments are really, and that's a program. It was designed to divide every culture up, including like what's going on with the African Americans and the shootings and stuff. Well, they got up off their ass, and I know some of it's been psyop by, whoever could try to take control. I think in a lot of places they're telling like that Sharpton and Jackson to get out, but at least they're standing up. Now, I'd like to see, and I'm not going to call this white, I'm not trying to use racism, but white people, when something happens and there's a crime, stand up and do what the rest of them do. Let's make this, let's get this rolling or do something. It shouldn't be the minorities being the ones standing up. It should be everybody.
Well, yeah, and it is, we have a preponderance of I don't think that's the right word, but anyways, it does, it does seem that it's generally the minorities that are getting hurt the most. But it's once it becomes about race, then other people lose interest. I'm just citing what I see. Once it becomes about a specific race, people do start losing interest. Well, the fact of the matter is, the state does not care. Does not care what color you are. It's been proven plenty of times. I mean, black, white, yellow, red. It does not matter. Its only interest is whatever it can get, and maintaining its control. And
You know,
we have
doggone
to
it.
remember, it's us and them, really, when it gets right down to it. And us is the melting pot, and them is the oligarchy. That's my take on it, and that's my opinion on it. And even those groups are like, the confusion is put in there to say, oh well, well, this is just a black versus white thing, or a white versus brown or whatnot thing. Um, these people these these so-called elites, they don't care about race. That's not an issue to them. They intermingle and intermix as long as you've got some blood of that family, and you're a ringer for whatever they might have a use for you in a position or whatnot. You're going to get
Well,
preferential treatment.
I think they care about race. I do dis. I think
To a
that
degree, but
they
it's
care
more
about
of
it.
a
They
class
care about
thing, I think.
they care about it because they can use it. They use
Yeah,
it against us. And what
that's
all
true.
of our friends and family out here in the world need to realize is that we are all the same. We are the human race. We just come in different shades of color.
Well, absolutely,
Well,
And and
absolutely.
well,
I believe that completely.
if we would ever start working together and quit
Yes.
letting them use the race card against us or the illegals against us and the way that they separate all of us, and they do it through the mind, through the words, through the language.
Yeah, that's exactly
Never
where I was
stop.
going with this. That's exactly where I was going with this.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. I'll be quiet because I like
It's
hearing
okay. It's okay.
because I like hearing you.
But that's where I was going with this. I mean, it's about class. You're either part of their class, or you're the soil under the foot. And any differences they can use, or any differences that they find that oh well, this group has a preference for this, that, or the other. It doesn't matter, or distaste for that other group, or this, that, or the other. It's everything and anything that can be used against us is used against us to keep us divided, to keep us fighting, because to keep us at odds with one another, and to keep us afraid and distrustful of one another, because this upper class, this special leadership class, this moneyed class, they know good and damn well if we ever come together, there's nothing that they could do but say yes sir and no sir to us.
that's right. It'd be over if we're all shades of the earth. We're all earth-colored people. Every one
Yeah,
of us is a
yes.
shade of the earth. So we are all part of one race. It's called the human race, and we should stand. And I don't care if you're even a grayish color near death. You're still part of the human race, and you're my brother or sister. I don't care what gender. I don't care what you do. Unless you're a pedophile, I'll have issues, but I don't care if you're bisexual, gay. I don't care. That's the thing. It's not my part of my business. Certain things are not my business, and you're still my brother and sister. In my culture, if you were gay, you had two spirits. You were a two-spirited person. It wasn't a big deal. Nothing was ever made of it. Now it's an agenda, and I don't, for the life of me, cannot figure that one out either. Um, so,
Well,
you know,
polarization. It's about polarization. You're either like the little sawed off fascist George Bush said. You're either with us or you're against us.
Oh,
It's about
yes,
polarization.
exactly. But doggone it, people, there are so many of us, and there's so few of them. And I say the us and the them because that's what it's come down to. And if we would just start working together, some of my great friends, I've got many friends that I've accumulated through the years, and tomorrow I'll be 62 years old. So I've had a lot of time to sit and socialize with people and get to know them. I've worked with them. I've gone to their homes to have dinner or to play cards. I've gone to movies and stuff with people. I have every race that there is in my friend bank. And the way they are with their families, the way they are with their foods and their style and their greatness, you know, doggone it, if we would just put all of this garbage aside and look at each other for who we really are, we would love one another, because there's nothing not to love.
Well, and each culture could, I think cultures are beautiful, and I love watching different cultures celebrate, and I think we would complement each other and learn from each other.
Yes.
Like you said, if these differences that they have programmed into us could be just pushed out of our mind, there are so many things we can learn and love about each other, because none of us are different. We're all the same. You know, I've seen a lot of African Americans that are so family oriented. And
Absolutely.
the same with the Hispanics, the same with the white people, the same with every culture I know does the same thing. They may do it a little different. They may believe something a little different, but it doesn't matter. We're still, the Creator didn't just say, I created this race to be the supreme almighty race and the rest of you are serfs. No, we are created in the image of the creators, and we are supposed to complement each other and take care of the creation, because it goes with each other.
Yes.
I've been called an earth worshiper, but what are you going to do without your home? You got to take care of this home. And so,
yeah, like you would take care of your own body. I mean, this flesh vessel that we live in comes from this land that we're on, and if we don't take one as seriously as the other, you know, we're not going to make it very far.
Well, I think you get what you put out, you know, and that comes with anything. The more we put out towards the other, or to the earth, or to the trees, or to the wildlife, you know, the more we put of ourselves out, the more it's going to come back in. And I believe that that's the natural flow of things. If you want to be healthy, look around you and create healthy. Because as you create it, you're doing the creators, you're doing the Creator's work. You are working for them. And in turn, you get that energy back on yourself. And we need to let go of, and I mean right now, right the doggone it now, we need to let go of the hand-me-down garbage that we call knowledge, that has been fed to us for breakfast, lunch, and supper all of our lives, that was based on untruths, absolute lies. Yes, there were things that were done wrong. But you know what? As I said, you know, I get older at midnight tonight. And I can guarantee you I had nothing to do with any of that way back then. I would have been the one standing up saying this is wrong, because I wouldn't hurt anybody. And I would not let anybody hurt you. Any of you, not anyone.
That's right. And yes, happy birthday tomorrow.
Yes, I'm going to be old.
Oh, enjoy it. Well, you know, age, you know, we used to think with age.
Oh, you meant that the literal. Okay, well, happy birthday.
Thanks.
Yes, her birthday is
I got extra gray hair today. Extra gray hair today.
Bravo. That's a sign of wisdom.
Yes.
Like my neighbor says, I don't care what color it turns, as long as it don't turn loose.
Oh.
Yeah, I had some that ran away.
Yeah. I remember I used to color my hair and all that. And it was a materialistic, you try to hide who you are, but eventually if you really base yourself and balance yourself, you can't run away from yourself. You have to, and I wish people would balance themselves and allow themselves to be who they are.
You guys can't really see my hair, color, but maybe if I turn this light, well,
I see.
it's
Yeah, I
silver.
see it.
It's
It's
silver
pretty.
and brown and gold and black, and I have every color. Every
Well, I
color,
got.
just like our world.
Well, look at here. I've got like I don't know some kind of from this just solid white coming in right here and over here, just solid white, not even
All
gray.
the
Just
signs of wisdom. Bring it
uh,
on.
yes. Um,
I've
and
got more gray than you do, Linda.
no, the rest of it's gray. You just can't see it because the guy's got dark hair. But boy, and if I'm in the sunlight, it looks like I got frosted hair. Um, I don't mind. I actually always wanted my hair frosted, and I got my wish. See, I think the hair is lovely, and I always wanted frosted hair, and now that I've gotten older, I got it. Got my wish, naturally frosted. You know that, and I think I don't know. It's just you have to be. You got to be happy with the body and the person that the creator puts you in, and take it from there. If you can't, then really you need to go take a better look in your heart. I think we're all beautiful. I don't think the
I
outside
do
is
too.
beautiful. I
I
think
do
you look
too.
within somebody's heart. I mean, the heart says it all. If you can look inside somebody's heart, then there you go. You know who's beautiful and who's not.
Well, sis, I have to be honest with you though. If you look at Dis here with his glasses and his white, man, this guy's really white. Enemy of the
Yeah,
state, I think it says here. If you look at that, he's stiff. This guy is
yeah,
stiff. He is.
yeah. I agree.
I'll bet
Ah,
that don't look like you at all, Dis.
No, actually, that's Murray Rothbard, and he's
Yeah,
passed on.
yeah.
I this is exchanged hair tips with me, so I can assume his hair is long and probably kind of coarse like mine. Um,
Mine's long, but it's baby fine and very thin. Always has been.
Mine is thick, so thick I hate messing with it sometimes. That's why it's braided. I did try to look real nice one day for one of these hangouts, and my niece had left that. What is the flatten iron, the iron,
Yeah.
I'm not really good at these things, so I tried really hard to make my hair look nice, and put makeup on. Oh my goodness. How many years has it been? Well,
Yeah,
I can see.
I don't
Makeup.
do the makeup. I don't do the hair dye. I'm just me. And pretty soon I'm going to be a toothless me right here. I'm going to lose this tooth, guys,
Well, but
because
I told
my
you what to
little
do.
my little grandson headbutted me about 7 or 8 years ago. And I just went to the dentist the other day because the tooth keeps getting looser and looser, and it's starting to hang down a little bit. And the dentist said, "Yep, we're gonna have to pull it." So I'm gonna be smiling without one tooth, but
But
that's
you're gonna.
okay.
She's gonna. Let's do a re-imaging of the True Ray. I think you should put a little
The
mask
mask,
on
yeah,
and and
put a
say
mask on. Yes, I
and
love that idea.
write something on it like I'm protecting myself from chemtrails today, or any day you feel like it, until you're comfortable with it, because at first you're not going to be comfortable with it. When they pulled my back teeth, my jaw kind of sunk in, and I wasn't comfortable, and
Yeah,
because but there's nothing I can do. So
yeah.
I
What do
mean,
you
once
do?
you yeah, I can't afford
What do you
to.
do? I can't either. He said, "Well, we can put in what's called a flipper." Whatever a flipper is, all I could see in
What?
my mind when he
He's
said it
flipping a
is
tooth up?
one of those teeth that pop in and out.
Oh, well,
Anyway,
I can.
anyway,
That's
I said,
funny.
that would be awesome, you know, if you could do that. And then he told me how much, and I said, "Oh, forget it." You know, this is my teeth came in one at a time. I guess they'll go out one at a time. But it's part of being human. You know, we're just who we are. And I
That's
brush
right.
my teeth every day. I take good care of my teeth. And he told me that. He said he was surprised I had kept it this long after the damage that was done to the root. But doggone it, you just take each day. You just take whatever happens, and that's not going to stop me from loving everybody and loving myself. You know, it
That's
has
right.
nothing to do with the heart. It's all
That's right.
superficial. Just like
Exactly.
the hair and the makeup, and that's so unimportant.
Yeah. Now, and I do know some ladies who put makeup on and they look beautiful.
Oh yeah.
I don't have the talent to do that. Plus, I actually am scared of what's in the makeup myself. Um, because they used to use arsenic in it. I don't know if
Oh
they still do that
yeah.
or not.
Yeah, most of
And,
that stuff smells horrible.
well, I'm frightened by,
I
you know,
figure
I
if it
don't want.
smells bad, it might not be good for you.
I
Very
just don't
true.
look real with it. I don't look real with it. And I think that's what bothers me is I look at myself, you know, if I put it on, uh, to me it's just, it's against my nature. It makes me not look real to me. Not to anybody else. I mean, it's not about what they think of me, but it's what I see. And I kind of like just kind of who I am. Does that make any
Exactly.
sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally
Because,
does. Me and Linda was having a similar discussion last night.
I mean,
What do
yeah.
you need,
I
son?
mean,
Oh, just guys, I'll be right back.
okay, and I'll be right back too. Just hold the fort down. I got to shut a window. It
Okay.
was, well, it only take me 5 seconds, so just hang on. Boom.
uh, but yeah, getting everybody together in unity, it's really going to take. It really is going to take some thinking because there's a lot of tripping stones that have been put in our way, and a lot of things that we really down in our heart of hearts know better than you know our little biases and concerns and even ideas we know better than that we react upon that we don't even consciously think of sometimes. So really, when it gets down to it, you know, we each individually are going to have to change before we can come together. And you know, it's best to know yourself, as you know the ancient philosophers would say. You know yourself first, and you gain control of yourself. Then you know you're a more effective element in the world.
Absolutely. And you know, like, can I take this off topic just for a minute?
Well, sure. I was just bringing that up before you know we got back to what we was talking about.
Um,
It's
uh,
cool.
well, I just wanted to say something. And this is going to be controversial. Maybe I just want to do
Some
this.
things need to be said, and if people don't understand, we can work on that. You know.
Okay. We have the tar sands, and they're about to bring the oil trains right by my house. Um, Obi wants in, Ray said, and I would love to have her son in here.
Oh yeah, he's welcome anytime.
Yeah. Can you send Obi an invite? Okay, let's see. I'm going to do this real quick. I wanted to talk about the oil, the tar sands oil that a lot of people think is going to bring jobs. And this, why I'm doing that, would you
Yeah, to
explain that
China.
it's not going to bring jobs? I'm going to do this real quick for Obi, but would you explain, you know about it too. There's temporary jobs in Washington State, temporary, and then the Chinese take over once it gets to the port. So the jobs are going to be for the Chinese people, not for the American citizens.
Oh yeah, that pipeline is almost already built. I mean, it's been going on long before they ever even asked for approval. knew they were going to be able to shove it down our throats whether we liked it or not. And most of it is already built. Uh, the only jobs mining those tar sands and processing them into bitumen is going to be in Canada, where the tar sands are at. On the other end of the pipe, as you said, it's going into a Chinese-owned and run port, here in America, and that bitumen is going to be shipped directly to China, and we're really not going to see a dime of it. But we got to take all of the risk if that stuff spills and creates a giant kill zone that may last 100 years or more wherever it lands. Along those lines, the groundwater pollution and the killing off of rivers and streams and maybe even whole forests. It depends upon where where the break may happen, and those things. As it's in the oil company's best interest for those pipes to stay together, and they generally, on most pipelines, they do their best to keep them from leaking. Even if they should retool and they don't retool, they still try to keep them from leaking because they don't want their money dripping out on the ground. But it happens, and it's they can't guarantee that it won't happen because it does happen, and it happens repeatedly, and it's happened repeatedly before. And we're talking about a substance that's far more toxic than some Pennsylvania, waxy Pennsylvania crude. I mean, this stuff is filled with poisons, heavy metals, and all sorts of things. Not to mention that it takes ridiculous amounts of fresh water to boil that bitumen out of that sand.
Yes.
And then that water becomes polluted.
Well,
Where are they getting fresh water?
They're taking it from the aquifers, and they're taking it from the aquifers and then polluting the rivers and streams and the aquifers, where this runs off.
Well, yeah, they'll have their storage pools or their storage ponds like they do with the fly ash from these coal plants. And it won't be long before one of them will spill over into a river or a stream or out into some local land and get down and just seep down into the earth and just make a big toxic mess because that water is going to be filled with concentrated filth from being run through that sand and that bitumen.
And let's face it, our water is not unlimited, and we have over centuries we have abused our water systems.
Well,
My gosh.
Yeah, but the thing of it is that there's no need in it. There is plenty of water. There is plenty of water for everyone. But we have these businesses wrecking, taking over, buying out, and controlling the water, and then making messes and polluting it. Well, it's all in their interest to do that because they want to control all the water. They want eventually, and the cat's been let out of the bag, they want to privatize all water, all the fresh water, and they want to sell it to us as a product. Something that if we left well enough alone, we would have more than we could ever use. But it's all good for them to destroy water supplies with the fracking and whatnot because then that makes it more scarce.
Now he needs to go.
They're trying to create a scarcity. They are
turn that on. See, he's off.
They're overstating how scarce water actually is. There's been underground lakes discovered left and right of pure, clean water. But, you won't hear that on the evening news because, that land would usually be owned by some company or something or other, so they keep that on the hush-hush. And, of course, it's like with oil, we're going after this bitumen oil when we really don't even need it. It costs more to produce than it's worth. And the whole point is, we got scarcity. No, we don't. We got more damn oil than we could ever possibly use without snuffing this planet out into a black tar ball. There is no scarcity. That's just a mechanism to drive price. And when they get the opportunity to privatize the water, claiming scarcity, that is just a mechanism to drive price. To take something that is free there for everyone's use in abundance and turn it into a business product. That's
corporate gain.
And it's also, this is a division thing they're using, saying we're going to create jobs with this. There's not going to be any jobs. They're temporary jobs which will be created. And in our state, I think maybe 10 jobs will be created, like I said, and the rest is going to the Chinese on the port. So really, there's no jobs being created, and the ones that are temporary. So we don't want this poison here in North America. We don't need our aquifers destroyed. And I'm going to talk one more thing because I kind of promised someone indigenous, and he's an activist. In Flagstaff, Arizona, right outside Flagstaff, is the Snow Bowl. It's on a sacred Navajo site, and it's where they ski. And they're using recycled sewer water as snow, and this is going back into the aquifer, so the people in Flagstaff, Arizona are literally drinking sewage.
Well,
Yeah.
sis, they've been doing that for irrigation water for years.
Yes,
That
they have.
that has been
But
happening for years.
now, I know certain farmers that probably still do this, but it's their own, because they have septic systems, and it's their own waste. And if they're not on, Prozac and all these other drugs that would get into the well and contaminate the plants, I actually wouldn't have problems with it. But the drugs and the stuff people are putting in their bodies at this point is being recycled back into the drinking water, and that's frightening. You think about that, having, the psychotropic drugs and all that being, because that's what's going right back into their drinking water.
Oh yeah, not to mention that you were talking about that poo snow.
Yes.
And it's not just medications in that, but it's all those water treatment chemicals. It's everything that people wash with. It's all the chemicals that people clean their sinks with. You run through their dishwashers, flush down the toilet.
I kind of think, and I'm not a scientist, I'm not a botanist or a biologist or anything, but understanding the way that the cycle goes, I know we could go back to earlier times when, granted, the population isn't wasn't what it is today, but the earth was able to filter and clean and cleanse the water that went into the aquifers and then back out and into the seas, and the seas into the rivers, and it just this cycle. And I still have belief that the earth cleanses and cleans the water if we start, like Dis is saying, and like you're saying here, Linda, if we start paying attention and eliminating the possibility of these oil spills and this garbage, this overabundance of pollution. I'm not worried about the human waste. I'm really not worried about the human waste or the livestock waste. I mean, I live in a rural farming community, and they often talk about the nitrates that come from the sewage from the animals that gets down into the water system. And I think if we start paying attention and start helping to eliminate the risk of harmful pollutants such as this oil, this garbage that they're wanting to risk spilling into the system, I believe that we would have a better chance of keeping the water clean. But we have to come to a place in time where we're willing to sacrifice using so much of the energies that we are getting from the oil, from the oh my gosh, the nuclear. I keep going back to nuclear in my mind.
It has a place in this. It has a place in this. It's in our biosphere.
You bet.
Yes, the nuclears need to be shut down completely. And all the nuclear power plants were made for was nuclear weapons, period. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, that's why we have this design of nuclear reactor. There's
Yes.
other designs that aren't nearly as dangerous, that don't explode, that don't make toxic bomb materials, but that's not their interest. They want those bomb materials. They want the the dangerous processing and the high pressure plutonium reactors because they want that stuff. It's not for our benefit; it's for theirs.
No.
So they can always have that you know that something to launch with that red button.
I just wish there was some way we could all get it together and come up to a solution. And I really believe without the division that would happen. And I think that brings us right back to that division. You know, the minds that we have out here are unbelievably bright and smart. We've got inventors. We've got people that reason this stuff out, think it out. Look at the guys that have put together these Tesla-type generators that work on the same theory, and the government's not letting them produce them, not letting them market them. You know, I read an article about it the other day, and I thought, why wouldn't they? Well, it's because we'd have free energy. You know, can't let them have that.
It would destroy the economy. You know, the energy economy. All these people would lose jobs. They would have free energy, so they might not need as much money if they had free energy.
I kind
How
of
much
think
do you spend on electric and water with, you know, if you could get it for free?
I think it would advance.
On your life.
I think it would advance the economy. I think people would have more chance to be more creative, and then we could start focusing on the earth, you know, and the water system and the air. For goodness sake, the air. How dare they do what they're doing to the air? But I could really get into this, guys, and it would bring out a side of Ray that.
I don't mind.
You feel it, and you want to. You go there, hon.
Yeah.
Well, it just infuriates me that we sit back knowing what we know, and all of these naysayers, people, you better, I'm not going to say wake up because I hate that, oh, they're just asleep, or oh, they're sheep, or they're, you know, they're not awake. I'm sorry, they're not informed. They are ignorant to the truth. And ignorant is nothing more than meaning they do not know. They have not come to the point yet where they're enlightened, where they know the truth.
It's our responsibility to get out there and inform them.
Yes.
We do have that responsibility. We have got to.
We do.
Is Obi going to be able to talk, or is he just going to listen?
Obi, are you going to talk to us?
Yeah, actually, can you hear me now?
Oh, yes.
All right, fantastic. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
Took a moment. It took a moment.
Introduce you.
Well, my name is Obi, and I am Julie's son. And
that's the true Ray, guys.
Yes, the true Ray son. And so, yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Finally, and welcome. Yeah. We've been wanting you here for a while.
You know, I appreciate that. I actually didn't realize I didn't know if these headphones would work or not. I haven't tried this before, but it's certainly a good topic.
Well, chime in anytime you want, because we're kind of jumping everywhere, but it was going to be that kind of topic anyway. We decided we weren't going to set it on one thing. It was just going to hang out, and whatever flowed. So.
Well, you know, Linda, and you guys, this thing about the government and the energy and the things of that nature, it's an extremely sad thing. When she was bringing up things such as Tesla and the rest of the technology that they came up with, it's astounding the amount of technology that they have came up with, and have found that it's very effective and it does work. But they have suppressed it, and they've suppressed it out of very sinister means, because it would absolutely heal this society. It would heal this world and people. It would sustain us in such a way that we would save so much, and war wouldn't be implemented the same, because oil reserves wouldn't be necessary. There's so many valuable attributes to using that technology, but it's a very, very sad thing that they've suppressed it
Yeah,
like
it's
they
a
have.
people enabling technology. It enables the people, not the powers that be. So it has to be
Absolutely.
suppressed.
Well, and imagine all the people of the world having heat and light and food and
Yes.
no hunger. No, we could eradicate some of these diseases that are caused from the way some people have to live, because some of the living conditions are horrific. And when your immune system's down, you'll catch certain diseases, and you guys know this, and et cetera, et cetera. And it's a spiraling thing. That the technology could change humanity completely, and wouldn't that be wonderful? That would be just the most divine thing that could happen.
Yeah.
But it's not consumer friendly. I mean, we would not be consumers anymore. We would be free from them. And I don't think they're quite ready to let us be free.
You know, sis, I think we would still be consumers, but we would be consumers in a far healthier manner. And
Well,
I
free.
mean, just your power bill. Now I'm going to take my power bill, and I'm going to take that money, and instead of paying it to the power company, because I now have free power, I'm going to apply that money to a way of preserving wildlife, or a way to preserve our water systems, and to help clean up the creeks and the streams and the rivers, and maybe a technology that could help uh, the homeless and the hungry. You know, I mean, there's many things that we could do with the money that we're throwing away just to have this doggone light right here.
The other day we were without power. Well, we had a generator and we had to turn it on for something, everybody saw the video why we had to turn the lights on, because of something growing, and the sea
Your
chicken.
potato plant.
My potato plant. And the sea chicken also requires a certain amount of light also. I'm saying it that way because, he's healing. She is healing very well. So, but I actually enjoyed not having when the internet went out. It was really kind of cool. And we have here's a video game for you. Kenny had went and bought. My son left a PlayStation 2, and Kenny went and bought a video game. I said, "Why did you buy a video game?" He said, "I bought Monopoly." Well, I didn't never like the game Monopoly anyway, but as a board game, I just didn't like it. But we played it on the thing, and we got to play against what it was called artificial intelligence. And I thought, well, we'll never beat the AI, but I beat the AI. It was me, and Kenny played his part, and then you're playing against artificial intelligence. And I actually beat the AI. I couldn't believe it. So that's what we did. After I played and danced in the wind, there was no trees around me. I kept getting things, "You're going to get impaled" and stuff. There's no trees where I was dancing in the winds, which it was wonderful. You could feel things just move right through you. Just being in nature.
You ever notice when the power goes off that the spirit within you goes to a much calmer place? You don't have all these noises that we don't even actually notice, but it's like the world goes into a calm. I love that feeling. Love that feeling.
And also to me, the soup we're in, it puts me sometimes for no reason whatsoever in a state of fear. As weird as that sounds, and I think that they're manipulating our regular frequency because we are in tune to the earth, our home.
Absolutely, they've proven it. They've absolutely proven, and
The earth.
the natives
Go ahead.
from from the beginning, all knew that we were one with the earth, and that our energy would flow through Mother Earth, and that there was such a frequency that the body could actually heal itself and do a numerous amount of things. And then these people in sinister areas that started doing research and using knowledge for things that it wasn't to be used for or shouldn't have been used for, started to, it's almost as if, to me, it seems more than evident that it goes much further than a human being exercising knowledge. It goes into a realm of something that's very good and evil. And the reason that I think that is that it's I think any person, any individual with people are smart, and I think that we can. When you go out in nature, you can feel it. It's more than evident, the feeling that you receive from nature and the things that take place. And we could have a solution for so many problems and things that are happening, but it's as if there's a power that simply does not want us to obtain the ability to be nurtured by life. It doesn't want our goodness. It doesn't want us healthy, and because if it did, I believe that with the intelligence that mankind has, and especially when you see through things through the spirit, you can actually identify things that that are that causes us to prosper, and we can find solutions for things. But there's something much larger than just the human being that is keeping us from getting where we need to be.
You're exactly right. You hit it right there. I myself, I like going barefoot outside. I don't care if it's summer, winter, spring, fall, whatever. It almost is like the connection. You connect back to the earth, and it kind of detoxifies you from all this madness. Because I don't like all the electronics. I don't. If we didn't have to communicate this way, which it's been a great tool, but one day this tool is not going to be here, and we're going to have to face-to-face talk to each other, which is the day I'm waiting for.
Isn't it more than evident to most people? I mean, obviously everybody has their own perspective. So to see through the eyes of somebody else and to say, I know exactly the way they're seeing this world and the way they see things is absolutely absurd. You can't do that. We all have different perspectives. But the one thing that we do, we have many things in common as well, though. And those things that we have in common are a natural, innate nature, an understanding of certain things that that we know are healthy for us, and it's I kind of lost track of where I was going with that, but I was sitting there listening to you, and then I had a really good thought, and now I lost it.
That's okay.
It'll come back.
We're happy you're here.
Come back. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah,
it's an honor.
Absolutely.
Thank
We're
you, Linda.
definitely glad to have you here. I was thinking about the differences, and a lot of people tend to do it the same because they saw someone else do it this way. But left to our own devices, people take for instance a jigsaw puzzle. Some people start in the corner. Some people get the border first. Some people get the middle first. Some people are just all over the place with it. And I think understanding one another and really getting to where everybody is understanding one another, and that we don't have to start in the middle, or we don't have to start on the edges, or we don't have to whatever avenue you can help your brother or sister become a thinker, to contemplate things.
Yes.
It gets it going. It starts getting puzzle pieces put together. Where,
It does.
They can get closer to their, getting it all together, and then being able to see the whole picture.
And and that seems to me to be so much more rewarding than any material thing could possibly be on earth. The ability to turn to somebody or people around you and know that you're effective.
Tell him we lost him.
Can you hear us, Obi?
So having solutions and finding solutions
Obi.
to these problems.
Obi, say that again. We lost you there for a minute.
Oh, I was saying that if we just came together and had the common understanding that that helping each other and helping each other learn and gain is such a good feeling, and to find solutions to problems, the ability to find solution to problems. It seems to me that in society there's been so many generations that have had an abundance amount of people that have had the ability to solve problems and find solutions in areas that would make mankind such a different place. There wouldn't be one human being on this earth that went without. There wouldn't. I mean, this earth has given us an abundance of things that would be that is beyond our comprehension, that could feed everybody, medicate everybody, do everything that we needed possibly done if we use the knowledge that God gave us. The fact is, and I'm not bringing in religion. I'm not a religious type person, but I am definitely of the Spirit. And I just strongly believe that if a person has a strong desire to change something, then we've been given the mental aptitude to do that. We have the solutions. The problem is that we also have a energy that is against us, that does not want us to succeed in that. And unfortunately, they took an old tree and chopped it up into little wafers of paper, called it money, and said this value was the fact that we all had an abundance here for all of us. All we had to do was share and work together to make this place a good place and find solution to problems that didn't need to be so at such a magnitude. But then you get groups of people that plot and have different ideas, and once they and it happened a long time ago, they became so financially they gained so much, and then it wasn't a matter of money anymore, it was a matter of power, and that's a whole new entity of itself. And so if the mass amount of people all at once decided, and that's something that's beautiful about the internet, is the fact that we are able to communicate. And I think more so today we can share ideas and be on the same page in a way that we were never able to do before. And so if we could share a message to each other that we as a people can find common ground and solutions to these problems and eliminate those that are disrupting it with evil thoughts and deeds, then by all means we could solve the problem, because we outnumber them 11 to, we just outnumber the heck out of them. It's amazing how much we outnumber them. Sad.
If people knew the power we had, we as the human race, against those few who try to, and I'm going to say try to control us, because I see a lot of people getting away from the control.
Absolutely.
It would be, their ship would be sunk. They would run into caves hiding from us. And but I don't know if it's fear or it's laziness or what it is that people don't want to step into that power. And I think really it's fear. And I think it's a programmed fear, because like you said, you believe in spirit. I know Ray, we're all spiritual here on this panel. I'm going to leave it at that. But I believe there's also this thing that people believe in, and I'm really not meaning to offend anyone, but I call it the savior syndrome. If I don't, it's always been programmed, and it took a lot through inquisitions and everything else to program people that, someone's going to come save you supernaturally, such as, if you follow our institutional organized religion, you'll be saved. But no, that's not the truth. We have to take responsibility, take care of this beautiful, beautiful,
Absolutely.
beautiful, beautiful creation that we're on, thanks to the creators. And we are responsible for it. No one's going to come save us. If there was someone going to save us, I think they would have saved those people who were getting beheaded and chopped and maimed during the Inquisitions and all these other bloody times in history. This is not an apocalyptic, is that what they call it, for the Bible times. I would have thought that that would have happened many, years ago if something like that was going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen in 2014, nor do I think it's going to happen in 2030. I think that until we take responsibility, we're all adults, for what's going on, when that happens, we have saved ourselves. And the creators will be proud of us. Whichever God's, whatever creator you believe in, that's the moment they're going to say they got it. Go ahead, Ray.
I think we've come to a point in time, and I believe that the majority of people out here in YouTube, super good people. Some of them are on a path that's different than what I think, but doggone it, we're all good people. And we've come to a time where we have got to recognize that all of the knowledge that has been handed down to us, whether through a history book or through the teachings or somebody's ideals or somebody's ways, we need to let go of every bit of that, because all of that is what's brought us to where we are today. And we need to start over anew right now, beginning to use our own minds, come together collectively for the good of all, and to create a world that is in harmony with the earth, with the universe, and with each other. And until we let go of the old ways, we're not going to be able to create new ways. They never have. It's never worked. And they've handed down the information over and over and over. You're not supposed to like these people. You're not supposed to do that. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do your own thinking. Follow the guidelines. Read the book. Come on, people. We need to get
I
it
will
together.
say though that some old things actually did work. In particular, the ways of the native peoples. They had figured out a lot of things to work with the world and with each other.
Sure, absolutely. But the thing is, the amazing thing is that when something becomes, when a picture becomes so distorted, when a picture becomes so confused by details and
Contradiction and lies.
contradictions and lies, that it becomes so darkened at that point in time, it's time to clean the slate. And so I think that let's say, for instance, a child that's born into the world, freshly born into the world, that child is the most precious, most beautiful diamond I've ever seen in my entire life. It is perfect in every way, cut to perfection, and that child's feelings and emotions have not been honed, and they have not been taught in such a way, or had certain learned behaviors that
not bent or broken, a perfect human being, natural.
an understanding of what beauty is and what happiness is, and joy and peace, and the desire to live on this earth. And when you open your eyes and you see the
I heard something.
moon, on and on and on, you see all these beautiful things around you, and and we can bring subject matter. I wrote a little thing today talking about how people comment on certain news headlines that come on, and they'll talk about the most absurd things. Is that person, is this person a good person, a bad person? Is this person, so much conjecture about.
Obi, you're breaking up.
Am I? Yeah, it's this
Mike.
it's this microphone. I think. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
It picks up really well. And if you want, you can also. It's slightly broken.
Hey, can we do some shout outs? We've got an audience.
Where does he have plugged in the back?
I'm game.
Yes.
I'm game.
You want me to do them?
If you like. Please.
Okay. We have Rebecca Bradley. Hello, sister. Thank you. We have Old Bag. Hell of a deal. Tommy Stock 64 says, happy birthday, Ray. He also says you're a most respectful individual, doing one heck of a job with those kids who will follow your lead and take it into the future. Bravo. You folks are bringing intelligent and educational conversation to the net. Keep it up, and he told me to be quiet. So, thanks, Tommy. I said hell of a deals here. Madam Von Cook, how are you, sister? You did get an invite. If you didn't notice it, it's in your PM. Grit Biscuits here. We love you, Grit. Old Bag and Madam. And let's see, Manuel, I don't want to say your name wrong. Kazaris. Electric Blue, he was my dear young friend who was here visiting with us last week, and we enjoyed having him here so very much. We went to the Two Towers, and he got to experience some of the evil of this world. But welcome and thank you for listening to us, and you guys are part of the solution, and you know it. We love you all. So, okay, I did that. All right, back to the topic. Where were we? Well, we're all stunned because Tommy Stock told me to hush. So, Tommy?
Discussing the potential of the human being before all of these constructs of the world come crashing in. Upon our natural, our nature, this perfect human being that comes into the world, that has no notions of good or bad, only just to be, and with no harmful intent and no malice of any sort. It just wants to exist amongst the rest of us. And the world is a shame that the world just takes us and bends us and breaks us in a lot of cases. It's an ugly thing.
So true.
Yeah, the world's beautiful. The human race is beautiful.
Well, yeah, the world, yeah, absolutely. I best clarify. This world of man, this. Ideological false construct of what must be and what should be and how things should fit and all of this authoritarian short-sighted one-track mind nonsense.
Well,
So true. Nonsense. Good word.
That is, I have an issue with everyone complaining about government, which I feel is a very unnatural. To me, it's unnatural anyway to have one person sit up in power and say, I rule over you and it's this way or the highway. But people complain instead of, and it's a choice. It is a choice to say, I will no longer have, anything. I'm not going to feed this beast. I went to something yesterday, and it was an agenda. They promoted stuff, and I stayed away from it. I could care less what they had to say because it was feeding the beast. I went to see who I needed to see, and I came back home. I do not. I think it's an unnatural role to have one leader or two leaders and all this. I'm old enough. I think we should be leading one another. We can hear you, Obi. Oh, he just muted. we can walk next to each other side by side and teach one another. We do not need leaders in unnatural roles who glorify themselves as they're superior to us. We need to start leading one another, learning from one another, and move on past this. What you're talking about, this, it's an unnatural system we're in. That's why everybody doesn't like it. Doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat or whatever you are in whatever country. It's an unnatural role. It doesn't fit with us.
Sis, let me say this. I could not agree with you more. I absolutely 100% agree with everything you just said. It is a business. Let's face it. The IRS, the federal government, your state governments, they are all businesses. Now let's use a doctor as an example. When you go to a doctor, they do have a place. I mean, they can diagnose and tell you what's wrong because they have the technology and the knowledge to do that. However, if they healed everybody that came into them, how long would they be in business? They wouldn't. They count on repeat business. Our government is set up the same way. It is a corporation. It's a business. They have to keep us coming to them, and ironically, we pay them for that luxury. We pay them so we can go to them, which makes no sense whatsoever.
Well, it's under
but
threat.
Without us, their business fails.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot. There's no profitability if we take care of ourselves. So their job is to convince us that we need them. And I'm like you. I don't do the follow the leader. I never liked that game. I will never play the game. I don't teach the game to my kids because you do not need a leader. You need yourself.
That's right. And I believe if we all work together, because each of us have the puzzle Dis was talking about, we are each a piece of that puzzle. And we do not need them. And Kaffir's Dis, why are you bringing that up? Boy, that's a pet peeve of mine. I see Kaffir's written over here. I read Kaffir's. Does anybody know what Kaffir?
I actually think that that's one of the things that they're very afraid of now. I think that's why they've came out with this new outer net thing, the ability to hook people up to an intranet type or into a web of information that will be controlled, that they can implement on people in all areas around the world in places they've never had the technology. But it's the fact that we have internet now and we have the ability to communicate worldwide. I think now we never had the ability to be on the same page before. And once we come to a common solution and we find a ground to stand on and something that we know is going to be effective in restoring the values and morals that we live by as a country or as a world, then I think that we could implement serious change that would be in the best for all of us. It's unfortunate that these little details that a lot of people focus on are pretty much frivolous. They're frivolous things. I mean, let's face it, what's the most important part of life in itself? I mean, is it not family? Is it not our children? Is it not love? Is it not the beauty that we have in the world that we should sustain? Not creating chaos and absurd reasons to fight? I mean, it certainly makes no sense. And to anybody that's sane, it wouldn't make sense. But unfortunately, we're not dealing with sane people. We're dealing with people that believe in an ideology that is far and beyond what pertains to truth. And unfortunately, they believe that that they can run this world and keep who they want and do what they will, and more for them, more the merrier. And that's a sad thing, because everybody is unique and beautiful in their own way. And believe me, by them exercising that type of knowledge, exercising that type of attitude towards life in itself, you cannot go against nature like that and succeed. You cannot.
That's right. You're exactly right. And here, I probably just lost my train of thought. I don't know why. But on what you were saying, that we as the human race have all the answers. We do. Each one of us can contribute to this. Each person, each human being has part of this to fix this unnatural, and it is so unnatural, or people wouldn't be complaining and things wouldn't be happening the way that it is happening. We could fix this, and it wouldn't even take long. It wouldn't even take a generation. People I watch, this is gonna spark some controversy. Preppers was an agenda. And the reason I'm going to say this, everybody should, common sense should tell you, you should plant your food, have enough to last you through the winter and make it to spring. But we've got people consuming 25 years, just going to purchase 25 years worth of food, put it in a bunker, make themselves a one-man island because of their fear of who? If it's the government, there's not that many people. Are they afraid of their neighbor, the human beings that they should be complimenting and balancing with? It's become, to me, it's an insane construct that's going on, and eventually I think people will figure it out. I hope they do.
The thing is, Linda, is I believe that it certainly pertains to fear. Granted, I don't think that anybody or any one person begrudges anybody of the idea of survival, but at the same token, there's certain values and there's a certain way to nurture life in itself and people around you, and an understanding that if you're all for yourself and for your, listen, if I'm when I leave this world, I can guarantee it's not going to be in a selfish way. It will not be in the way that that I'll do it saving a neighbor. I'll do it helping humanity and somebody else, because I can't haul a U-Haul of money behind me or a load of food, but I can guarantee that I can haul with me the values and morals that I have and the understanding and compassion that I have for mankind. I do have that inside of me, and that I can take with me. So when my spirit leaves, it will leave with compassion. It will leave with the desire, the true desire, to help mankind and do everything I can to save as many of mankind as I can. I will not be bunkered in a hollow hole somewhere with 25 years worth of food, and and I'm not begrudging people of that, to each their own. But I believe that life in itself is a lesson for all people, and eventually we come to terms with our spirit and our flesh, and we understand what it is that we all have one thing in common. We go to the ground. We go to the ground. It's just one thing that we have in common. So why not understand that and share the idea of, all right, who's going to go out with the most compassion? Who's going to go out with the most care for humanity? Who's the one that's really going to choose to change this world and not be selfish? When we find out, that in itself is the richest, most wealthy reward you could possibly take with you. And
I agree, and you just hit on something, because and I'm not going to put this person down because I actually like their videos, but someone put a video up, and they're a prepper. The scenario of a 16-year-old came into your compound, which I don't even know what it sounds like, a reservation to me. You really don't want to get yourself stuck where you're, forced to be in one position, to me. what would you do if two people of your compound were missing and a 16-year-old boy showed up? And my immediate answer to the question was, I'd bring the boy in and feed him and get him healthy because he's our future. Of course, that's not the answer I guess people really wanted to hear. You know, the mentality right now is selfish. The people are selfish right now. They're not looking past a disaster. Is it that people want a disaster? Something to happen?
Probably so, Linda. Probably so. I mean, there's so many people that, oh, well, I ain't worried about this world. I'm just worried about the next one. And you know, as an example, you know, and it seems that there's a doom-seeking mentality. You know, they want all these doom prophecies fulfilled that they've been preparing for all this time, instead of living their life. I think it's you know, it's important to take care of yourself and your family first. Take care of yourself so you can take care of your family, and take care of your family because that's what's near to you. But at the same time, that's a half-filled cup. You know, there is the world outside of that you need to have a positive impact on for not only your sake and its sake, but your family's sake as well.
You're absolutely right, my friend.
If
all
we don't
you do is prepare for war, war will find you.
Yes, and if we don't start looking at this from a humane point of view, that is to say, taking care of others, taking care of each other, working with our neighbors, our brothers, our sisters, because we are all webbed and linked and connected to the earth and to our creators. And if we don't start working together, I mean, let's just hypothetically say that all you care about and all you want to take care of is just your immediate family. In this household, I have 7 people. So let's say that, and this is way out there, but let's say that we're the only ones left. So we're left with my mother. We're left with the other people, 6 people here in the house. And where does it go from there? We have to be able to open our view to where we see that everybody is just as important as the others. My neighbors are just as important as I am. Linda, up there where you live, all those people, all of the people in that community, they're just as important. The people in Japan, the people in North Korea, the people in Germany, and it goes on and on and on. Everybody's just as important. And until we can cross that line and start seeing, and like I said, the more we put out, that's the energy that's going to come back to us. If we're putting out this selfishness and this one-sided point of view to where all we think of is self, 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 the me, me, me's, we're not going to get anywhere, because all that's going to come back is that selfishness, that darkness. We have to be able to be the flashlight that lights up the room, because the dark cannot survive in the light.
No, it can't. And you know, somebody that was very dear to me once said that negative breeds negative. And you know, I got to tell you something. The one thing that we need to understand, we absolutely need to understand, is that we possess energies that, if we really truly understand that negative energy breeds itself, and it develops out into the world, and it grows from there, and love and compassion does the same thing.
Yes.
You know, if we exercise that in a true understanding and applied that say theory or conjecture, whatever you want to call it, if we applied it, then I certainly wouldn't see this world being as it is right now. You can very easily walk into a room and there be negative vibrations in the room, and I don't think that there's one person that can't absolutely feel it when they walk in. They can also feel joy inside of a room. And you know, and what this world is one big room. You know, it's we have to learn how to accept constructive criticism as well. We need to understand that another human being's perception of this world and the way they think and operate, the way they feel with their emotions, the way they see things through their eyes is very, very unique. It's different than me. It's different from you. We all have a different perspective. So if we have a common understanding that we all have a different perspective, then when a person implies an opinion or has a certain belief in something, who are we to knock them when they're on their journey? You see, because life in itself, it works, life in itself comes to a certain understanding by the time you take your last breath, I assure you.
Yes.
So what you've
Yeah.
learned is what you've learned is what you've learned. And so, you know, I think it's of utmost importance that we understand if we're going to be an energy force inside this world, then let's be positive. Let's have compassion for each other. Let's grow. Let's take constructive criticism and understand that each and every person that lives and breathes has a right to speak, has a right to understanding, and believe me, they'll figure it out on their own because they can't help but adapt to nature. You know, we all have it in common. We go to the ground. But another thing we have in common is everybody has their own idea where they end up afterwards. But I can assure you, from my point of view, after looking into the precious eyes of my children and seeing all the beauty that exists around me, I would hate to think with this much knowledge, I would hate to think with this much beauty, I would hate to think that you go to the ground and there be no more. And if that were the case, I'd call that a sick joke. And I from my perspective, I truly don't believe that. There's too much involved, and every single molecule falls in place to perfection. Anybody has their own opinions, and I don't begrudge anybody of having an opinion of what they believe. But I can assure you this, the truth will be known eventually.
Yes.
I want to say something. I know for a fact, and this will be with Ray here, that our bodies may go back to dust, but our electricity, our spiritual continues. Only, and I can tell you, it continues even while we're alive, because I have called your mother at times when I needed to talk and she needed to talk and we needed to hear from one another, and call it empathic, call it psychic, call it whatever you want.
Yes.
It's there. And, you know, that's between me and her, but there are things that go on that other people do not want to admit. But I can tell you that it's happened, and Ray, you know, we both know. And there is a lot of things her and I'm not going to go there yet, but we know some things, and it's almost that we complete each other's sentence, and we shouldn't even know these things that we can complete each other's sentence on. And it's, so we're spiritual now, so this isn't going to end once we're in the ground. If anything, it's got to be a learning process for the next journey, in my eyes. And then
You know, the thing is, Linda, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, that's
The thing is I believe that the beauty involved here is much too impressive to be something that is going to phase out into an eternal darkness, into an abyss of non-existence. You know, but I also understand that each and every person has their own beliefs in that. You know, I believe strongly that every one of us need to come to a common understanding of a couple things. One of which is, do we not, every one of us, atheist, I don't care what you are, you can be the most brilliant scientist that believes in evolution or believes in whatever, but is it not true that each and every one of us desire comfort? Is it not true that we all desire beauty? Is it not true that we desire to live?
and love.
Is it not true that we desire to love and be loved?
Yes.
Is it not true that we look at certain things in this world and find them breathtaking. And also, is it not true that we can look at something that's very evil and point it out very quickly?
Yes.
I think that there's two energies going on in this world, and you know, and you're of one of the other, and maybe you're a little bit of both. But wouldn't the idea be that if you were going to make a foundation of yourself, that you're going to become one of either? And you know, and I'll tell you, I far from know what the truth is, but I do know what beauty is, and I do know what I believe. And as far as my personal choice is concerned, there is no doubt in my mind that I am a solid person that believes in beauty and love and peace and faith and joy and happiness and all things that were created on this earth in such a beautiful way. And because it's done in perfection. And I don't care if you believe in a creator or if you believe in anything. The fact is, it's in front of us. It's tangible. It's here. You're living it. You're breathing it. So,
Yes.
so you know, I don't see any beauty whatsoever in something that is ugly and evil. But I do find something in. I find that we seem to be more adapted from birth to something that is beautiful, and that seems to be more natural.
Well, what is evil, anyways, but a byproduct of fear and mistrust?
Yes.
It is.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well, also, go ahead, Obi.
Well, I just see it as being the opposite of beautiful. You know, to me, it's something that doesn't feel right and comfortable, and maybe other people feel. See, I don't see through their eyes, so I don't know. But this spirit feels beauty.
You know,
I think that.
Go ahead, sis.
Now, I'm going to say
Okay.
something, man. All that is natural is beautiful in its own way, even a dung heap.
Well, it has its purpose. It does have its purpose. The thing is, I think some of this evil is manufactured evil. You know, there is, as the Indians say, there's two wolves. Which one do you feed, the bad or the good? But I also think, though, that a lot of this manufactured evil is a program that started a long time ago by some insane people. And for some reason, I don't know why people didn't stand against it, or we didn't have all this stuff where it connected and it, you know, gradually got to their villages, what happened. But the manufactured evil, you know, once it's gone, I mean, and then there's still going to be evil. I'm sure there'll be evil people, spirit, whatever, you know, that some people, it's a sickness or something, but most everyone, if you can sit down and talk to them, is beautiful. I don't know about those in power. I've never, you know, talked to anyone, you know, higher than really a county commissioner, and he's kind of cool. I like him, but, you know, I've never really talked to anybody in power. I don't even know their mindset because we're not allowed to talk to them. There's a great divide between us and the unnatural role of leaders. So we can't even talk to the ones in this construct they've built, to the ones who are supposed to be leading us. You know, it's insane. People should look at that as insanity and say, I'm not going to deal with it. I'm not putting up with it.
Yeah.
But they don't.
Are people really that bad? I mean, America has the world's largest prison population per capita. I mean, are we really that bad? Or is it mostly just what we're told? You know, oh well, you know, they're bad. You know, that's bad. You shouldn't do this or that. And there's and a lot of times it's things that only affect that person. Well, you know, if I want to peel my own toenail off to the blood, that's my business. It doesn't mean I'm smart. But at the same time, I don't think it's sensible to throw me in a cage for it and treat me like an unwanted animal.
Well, see, that's the big problem, too, Dis, is, yes, we've got the biggest prison population, but who are most of those people? I mean, you've got the majority of them that are in prison are in prison for crimes that are not what I would call crimes. You know,
I agree.
there's a line that got crossed a long time ago, and a lot of that goes back to profitability. How much money can they make on each prisoner, which they do, and don't think they don't. Not only that, but the states also get some kickbacks on certain things. And if anybody wants to go investigate that or research that, I would highly recommend you do, because it's a very profitable business. Having a prisoner in prison is profitable. But when we look at ourselves and we look at, you know, and you guys have heard me say it probably until you're sick of hearing it, but go to the mirror, go to the bathroom, look in the mirror, close the door all by yourself, look into your own eyes and say, who am I really? We are products of what we're programmed to be. Whether it's what we're learning from our parents, our grandparents, hand-me-down knowledge, schooling, life experiences, we are products of what we are absorbing, and that's who we become. But beyond that, if you remove that, just step out of that, we are a spiritual being, a force of energy that when we do something good, no matter the size of the good we do, I mean, it can be giving a child a flower. It can be helping a stranger eat a meal. It can be giving a turkey to the lady behind you in the grocery line. It can be carrying groceries out for an old person. And I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands of other reasons or steps that we can take. When we do those, we get this feeling inside us that is very healthy and very good. And if we would live for that feeling, you know, I once told somebody, they said to me, why do you do all these things? Why don't you get angry? How is it that you do that? And in fact, it was my older brother. And I said to him, you know, I'm probably the most selfish human being alive. And he says, you? How could you be selfish? And I said, I do these things because I like the feeling. And that's what it's about. It's liking ourselves. If a person doesn't like themselves, do you think they care about you? You have to love the goodness that you do. And I think that that's where a lot of growth comes with kids, with children. When you sit and you talk to a child, if you're not willing to listen to that child, are they going to be willing to listen to you?
Oh yeah, you have to give, and you have to give of yourself to even have, you know, any expectations. Although you may be, you know, you may be blessed anyways. But if you're not giving, then you're not paying it forward for sure.
You know, and the thing is also is when we were talking about perspectives, you know, a person that sees things that way is a person that admires and understands. And see, we call it goodness because it was a way of communicating. It's a way of us identifying a certain feeling. So that's why we come up with words to identify certain things.
Exactly.
So some people get upset when you use a word, goodness. Well, how do you know what goodness is? Well, goodness is what feels good to me inside my heart, that makes me smile inside. And, you know, and if that's how I perceive goodness, then that's what I'm communicating. Now, in the case of exercising that goodness and paying it forward, yeah, what a beautiful thing that comes from it. You know, a lot of good things come from that. Everybody has their own perspective, and we have, unfortunately, I think we have people out there that that actually feel like sinister things are good feelings. Doing something evil is a good feeling.
We're plastic in a way that we can be taught the wrong things. We can we can be taught to find joy in destruction. You know, we can be taught to find, you know, a sick joy in causing pain. And
so
that's not a good thing. But if that's all you're taught, that
sure.
you're going to have a long way back to the rest of the world.
And I happen to agree with you, and I would say this also. Then, I would say that if a person sees things and thinks things like that, we should have a certain common rule, and I think it was a rule that was made long ago called, you do not have the right to harm any other person, and you don't have a right to harm a person's property. Now, I would say that if you're messing up my world and my beautiful picture and coming into my life, then you're certainly imposing your ideology and problem upon me, and that's certainly not a good thing. But if a person does feel that way and they find some sort of good feeling in acting out in that way, I would say until you learn your lesson on your own throughout life, so long as you hurt nobody else, and so long as you hurt nothing that pertains to life or this beauty around you, then do as you will until you learn. But you have no right destroying the beautiful home that multitudes of people live in. And so when people are profiting off of war and lies and on and on and on, we're talking about a handful of people in government that are taking the multitudes of people, and because of their own whims, they are wanting to destroy this beautiful earth that we all live in called home. And to me, it's a very, very sad thing. And I truly believe, though, that if we were to come to some common ground to understand each other's mindsets and understand that we all want to be comfortable and we all want whatever we consider to be beautiful in our lives, then there's certain things that have to go. And sadly enough, I don't think anybody knows as to when that'll take place, or whether it'll be done through some divine action. But I can guarantee during the time that I'm going to be here, the time that I'm going to attribute to being here, if I have to, do my best to stay in my own little world to see this beautiful world as I do, and share what I have for compassion and love to people around me, and the ability to help in any way that I can. If I can discern some sort of knowledge to make betterment out of it, then I'm going to do the best that I can before I give up this mortal body. And until then, and let everybody else do their own thing on their own ladder, but I would be in hopes that it wouldn't be at the expense of other human lives around them, like all these wars and this stuff taking place.
Unimportant, non-essential, greedy wars.
Absolutely. I don't understand why the North American peoples are not done with financing wars. I don't see an enemy. I've never seen an enemy on our soil that wasn't manufactured. So why should we be doing this to other people? So there's my thing. Have you guys ever met our supposed enemies? I've never heard of one person meeting them. The only enemy I see we have is that unnatural thing that's in D.C. and in every state, and it's government, which is all totally against the natural way to live, which you guys have been discussing. Natural law or natural living rules that, just by living in a natural way, you would weed out the bad eventually. So they don't want us going back to that. It would be a crisis for money peoples.
Absolutely.
Okay, over here.
I was just going to say the ones that follow along tightly to what the the powers that be prescribe them to, believe to be their enemy, and how the powers that be describe them, how they should think and feel. They tend to be very nationalistic. I'm not saying that's a little bit of nationalism is good while we're under this system, but at the same time, it shouldn't be following the government. It just should be an interest in your fellow people of the land rather than supporting the status quo. Yeah, and I know it's kind of hard to make those divisions and part those subtle lines. For so many of us, things are just so black and white. We can't get into that gray area and settle down on a spot and say, I understand this to be necessary, but I don't believe in this, and I can only support what I know is right from what I know is wrong, and that will put you in a position of where you won't fit in anywhere within the system because the system is meant to polarize. So, well, we need to be brave. We really need to be brave to be the natural, real people that we were meant to be.
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. We do need to be brave in that sense. And let me say this, that the governments around us and the people that are in power, they want us to fear. They put this propaganda out all the time, causing people to fear. Fear to the NDAA that was put in place, all these other things stating that if you were a combatant against the government by speaking your mind and things of that nature, then you were considered to be a combatant, and that there was penalties to be paid, and that legally they could take you away to no man's land, and without any justice, any trial or jury and things of that nature. I think in these days we have seen a time in which so many sinister plans have been implemented, and I think a big reason that they've been able to step up and even implement those plans is because they were implementing somewhat of fear throughout the way, so that people simply would stay in their houses and not speak up against these things. I think that they sincerely, fear the fact of people speaking up and saying, "I'm a human being, and I live in this world, and and we have human rights as individuals, that just for the mere fact of living, just for the fact that you live and breathe, and I think also so much of it, there's so much controversy in it. It's actually a very simple thing that is made complex, and it's made complex for a reason. It's made complex to cause fear and no solution, when the whole time these sinister people are implementing their own solutions, that their idea of the way things should be.
I think that we have to have a structure in whatever we have, but we have to do it in a different manner. And right now, I don't know how many people are ready to walk away from the system because they talk about financial collapse and et cetera, but that's just like the paper. It's paper money. The NDAA, that's words on paper to me. It's just as good as a treaty. Means absolutely nothing to me. I'm not scared of them. I have no fear of their words on paper. They have not been honorable people who, in that unnatural role of government, never have they been honorable, and never will I trust them. They could say, I'm going to give everybody 10 acres and 5 horses and so forth, and I wouldn't believe it. Well, you know what I'm saying. So it's they can write as many rules and laws as they want. It's up to us. Do we want to obey those? I myself, I don't participate as much as possible. Somebody's got a cough. Okay, you want to do some shout outs, Ray? I could do some shout outs.
Yeah, I think she went off for a moment.
Okay, I'm going to do some shout outs then, I guess. Is that all right, Guess?
Yeah.
We got a good audience right now. Let me try to get Hell of a Deal.
Hey, how's it going? Can you see me?
Yeah, we see you. Margaret's out there. Hello, Margaret, Sister Margaret. She's watching. Tommy Stock's still watching. Rebecca, that was. I think I've covered pretty much everybody. I haven't refreshed. But we do have some people watching right now. Thank you guys for watching us. You guys are more important than. We're glad you're listening to us, but we like hearing what you have to say. And hello, Hell of a Deal.
How's it going? I've been really liking listening to Obi here talking. He's got a good head on your shoulders there, Obi.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that.
We've been trying to get Obi in a chat for a while. Now, I'm Linda Little Bear. I think maybe we ought to introduce everybody.
I guess I'll start. I'm on this end. I'll start. I'm Randy Wise. Everybody knows me as Hell of a Deal. Just an old hillbilly.
Good to see you again, brother.
Hello, Hell of a Deal. Yeah, I've seen your a lot of your posts. They're great posts.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
And I'm Linda Little Bear. I'm just, that's it.
Yes, wonderful, Linda.
We love you, Linda.
And so, what are your feelings on this? Because you were writing about our society is plagued by a man-made disease, and I believe it is. It's a spiritual sucking man-made disease right now. And if I'll say this real quick, if it sucks our spirit from us, then we need to get rid of it because we'll just be zombies, and that's exactly what it's doing. It's sucking the spiritual side of us away. It's a cancer on the human race.
That it is. That it is. You can feel it in the air. It's almost as visible as the chemtrails in the sky.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. There's so many people. Do you remember? I'm trying to bring it towards people. Like, do you remember seeing that when you were a kid?
No.
Trying to bring it to their mind. I mean, they look at it and I point up and I say, "Do you remember that? That ain't right." I don't even remember that from my childhood. There's something going on, and people will just tune out, man. It freaks me out. I'm working on trying to bring people in my neighborhood into awareness of that, and it's like there's this mental block. They can see it. They know that it don't belong there, yet they can't believe that
my brother
somebody can actually be doing something to us malicious like that.
My brother doesn't believe in them. There's days we go out and look at all that spraying going on. You can't tell me that's natural, or that's okay, or that's normal, or that's just condensation. You can't tell me that. Condensation don't do that, does it? He just looks at me, well, the news people said that, and I said, do you believe the Fox News? Well, yeah, why would they lie to us?
Why would they
I
tell
have
us
to
the
feel
truth?
for my brother. I really do. Pray for him, please.
I pray for all of them.
But yeah, it's right in your face. Well, the other day it was really murky looking crap they was spraying. I mean, it was just murky, and you could just see the dark chemtrail lines and everything. It was awful. And he just he looked up one time, and he kind of had this look on his face, like maybe he's right kind of look on his face. But he didn't say nothing. He didn't say a thing. So I think it's getting to him. I think he's seeing it through a little bit. But getting through that programming is the hardest part. You got to, they got their minds on that TV set when they get off work. It's either on their work or on what they want or on their video game or on that TV show or, oh, I got this movie tonight. And it's not about people, their family, helping people do things, or just getting out there in the world and seeing the world for the world. You know, I go nuts when I'm stuck in my house more than a day without having to get out and take a walk in the trees. You know, and I'll do it sometimes on miserable weather just to get out of the house. Because living in a city, like, well, I'm in a small city right now, about 15,000 people. I grew up out in the country, and you could feel the difference. I could feel the difference the day I moved into town. It's just the negative that comes with the
Sure does.
the system, the corporate, greedy, selfish. Buy this, buy that. You need this, you need that. You should get this. Pay this, pay that, and it's. I mean, there's enough for everybody in this world. God, the Great Spirit, whatever you want to call him, he made enough for everybody. It was all free for you to use, not abuse. And
That's right.
some people decide, well, their greed says, well, I can make a lot of money off this if I control this. So I control the energy company, and I provide the energy, and no one else is going to get any energy unless they buy it from me. And if they make some machine that gives them energy for free, well, I'll have to buy it off of them or kill the guy. That's what's going on in this world. It's that greed, that you know, it's the trying to think of the words. I have trouble with words sometimes. The older I get, the harder it is to remember words. I wonder what that causes that. I really do. Say it's covetousness. It's covetousness is why the Indians lost their land. It's covetousness that why the kings of Europe fought each other for centuries. Covetousness why Germany. You know,
there was never a law. It should have been pertaining to greed, perhaps.
Yeah, it's wanting those things that really belong to everybody. You want that thing for yourself. And
once you have more money than you could ever spend, then money doesn't matter anymore. It just becomes a means to an end. Then what are you left with? Seeking power, and
they're left in their own perversions. Is what they're left with.
Yeah,
they're left with their own perversions. And
I have a question. Could any of you fathom having all that money and wanting that power? I see myself, I just couldn't. And for the life of me, want to have power over people and have people do things for me. That is just not in my mindset. And I know there are some people that say, sure, I would love that, but I personally just find I would not fit in that skin. If I had money, I'd want to help the human race, and you
wouldn't have it very long.
the sick pleasures of
give it to everybody.
You're not an egotist, Linda. That's why you don't.
Why never make it as power?
I've only wanted to have enough to get by on anyway. I've never had any desire to have a lot of things. You know, things we clutter our lives with things. I've got a clutter of things in this room now. I could probably throw away half of it and not miss it tomorrow.
You know what we start to realize. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you know, I've experienced being out on the streets. You know, I've lived out in the middle of winter without blankets and food, and you know, and experienced the idea of not having things. And you know, to be perfectly honest with you, there's a sense of comfort in not having those things. It's a sense of peace that you actually miss once you start acquiring things again. And you know, so I don't think that these people, you know, it's great to have things that we need and you know, things that help and bring comfort and things of that nature. And you know, and so they're required for, they have their purpose. But I would say that these people that are in power, once it gets to a point that you have all the money in the world and there's nothing more that you could spend it on or buy because you've purchased everything you could possibly, nothing pleases you anymore, and then it goes to power, and then pretty soon power becomes boring and there's nothing left in power. What would be next after that? I mean, eventually it fades out and it stops giving the satisfaction that it gives. And so I think that the only thing that you can really truly find satisfaction in is being one with nature and the beauty of this world and brotherhood and truth and being good to people and nurturing life. You know, those are the things that bring harmony and peace to your mind. You know, and so I think it's pretty much, once it's figured out, it's all done in vain. You know, and sadly enough, there's gonna come a time to where those who practice those type of behaviors will find out that it's done in vain. And not that I don't begrudge anybody of having the things that are necessary in life to have. You know, it's great. You go out and you earn what you have and things of that nature. And for most people, it's a survival thing. You know, and what's saddening to me is taking wonderful people, wonderful, beautiful people that wouldn't harm anybody, that simply want to be comfortable living in peace on this earth. And what happens? The corporate entities out there make it to where life in itself is such a struggle to just survive and have a roof over your head that you cannot even enjoy the comfort that comes from normal peace of nature. The only way you find it's going out to the woods, you know, and being out in the land.
I myself couldn't fathom living in a city, a big city. Never, ever, ever again. I have lived in the city once, and that's unnatural too. I don't think we were supposed to live in concrete structures. Just, I don't know. Something, maybe it's the Indian in me, but I don't think that's what it is. I think that we're all coming to a point where we've had enough, and no one really knows which direction to go to. There is directions you can take. It's just who wants to get out of that comfort zone at this point, which
Oh yeah, that's a big part of it right there. It's like, you know,
Yeah.
with the advertisement and the lifestyle and all that's promoted on the boob tube and this, that, and the other, and the advertisement, whatnot. Oh no, don't sacrifice one spare second of your comfort for anything. But the thing of it is we're not going to prosper unless we sacrifice a little bit of our comfort now to see what's around the corner. You know, we could go outside in the woods for a walk. You know, in the cold weather, people say, "Oh, why are you doing that? You know, why are you doing that? You're just going to make yourself uncomfortable. You're going to get the flu. You're going to die." But you go out and you go for that walk. You make that decision to commit, and then you see some wildlife or something or other. You know, up close and personal, or see something going on, you know, out there that just made it totally worth it for that discomfort. You accomplished something for yourself.
That's right.
I agree. Anytime you can get out of your comfort zone, whatever it is, I think people should do it just to test yourself, if anything else. Me going into big cities, getting out of my comfort zone. I did it yesterday, so I'm glad to come home. So I must tell you, I'm glad when I'm back in the country. Really glad when we get off the interstate and I see nothing but mountains. It's kind of like that breath, and you know. But it's but I push myself to go into the cities because that's where people are, and that's where I guess you have to make your start at, you know, letting people see you, and maybe you approaching people and getting a conversation going. I don't know. As far as the chemtrails go, I was going to say something. I point at the sky all the time when there's chemtrails, and in public, I don't care where I'm at, and point them out and look like a lunatic. But now I'm noticing more and more people are saying, yes, they're spraying the hell out of us, random people. So the good thing is chemtrails is a good first step to waking people up. Go, Ray.
Yeah, do you guys think that maybe, I mean, this is just a thought of mine. I feel sometimes when I watch people, and I'm a people watcher, I watch people all the time no matter where I go, and I love to listen to them. I'll stand with my grocery cart and just listen to the people around me. It almost seems like as we grow deeper or fall deeper into technologies and into the noises around us and the more automobiles and louder trucks and the buzzing, this constant buzzing. You know, Kenny and you, Linda, went up by that thing, that tower thing, whatever it was, and the minute your camera got close to it, we could actually hear this buzz, this bzzz noise. We're picking those noises up all the time, even from fluorescent lighting. And it seems to be disconnecting a lot of our thinking away from our spiritual being. I think it's like people are getting disconnected from their own spirits.
Yeah.
And when the power goes off, and when we don't have any noises, you know, you might have nature, you might hear a dog barking off in the distance, or you may be able to hear a raindrop tapping on something, or water coming off your rain gutters. You know, all of a sudden there is like an instant reconnect with the spirit to where we feel this calm. And in that calm, we're able to actually think and function 100%. Where without it, when we live in this technical noise, this buzzing and humming and all of this, we can't really focus on the absolute 100% of our spiritual thinking.
Yeah.
I agree.
What's bad is when we get used to all of the noise and stuff, and that the silence actually causes some of us to actually freak out, you know, and every sound that we never heard, we're just like scared to death. What was that? Oh goodness, what was that? And it's kind of funny to watch somebody go through that. I'm like, you know, this is just everything that you weren't hearing. It's nothing that'll hurt you.
Yes. Obi, you can attest to this. When the power went out, you know, we heard that pop, and all the power went off, and David was down in the basement, and he let out that blood-curdling scream, and he was scared half to death. Do you remember that?
Absolutely, and you know the thing is, what it is they've not only done scientific studies, very thorough studies on how we're energy beings, and through the wireless technology. There's a word for it. What's the word?
Frequencies.
Frequencies. Thank you. Through all these radio transmissions and frequencies and things of that nature, that they're actually able to upset the natural balance. You see,
Yes.
the Earth and the sun and the moon. The Earth and the atmosphere, it puts off its own resonance. It puts on its own, and I forget how many megahertz it's set at. 12 megahertz or something to that degree that the Earth is set at. And
the Schumann frequency, it's like
yeah,
it's 7.6
.4. 7.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's
And
it.
so,
maybe 7.4, but it's between 7 and 8 cycles per second. Our brain cases, our skulls,
Absolutely.
also have the same Schumann frequency. Your
You
skull
bet.
will resonate at that frequency.
You know, and the thing is that as natural beings on this earth, when we're born in nature to a certain set frequency that is natural, and we seem to coexist with that on a balance, I think as soon as we interrupt that with massive amounts of radio frequency, I think at that point in time we're bombarded, and it certainly can become unhealthy. Now they've done studies on standards and amounts that are appropriate, and that aren't causing health problems, or at least they say that it doesn't. And then in other academia says that it does cause certain health problems, but all in all, it's I think we're certainly being bombarded by these things. And what happens with technology is when a person is shut down from all the technology and the lights go out and all these things, you're actually being thrusted back into a reality of senses. Every one of your senses are apparent to what is reality and going on around you. You become in tune with that very quickly, and it can be shocking to some people. But I think it's certainly more healthy. I mean, there's a place for technology. I think we can live with them both, nature and technology. But I think that we have to understand the balance of it and understand what is healthy and what is not healthy. I think there's a balance to everything.
True.
Talking about what's not healthy, I hope you don't mind if I light one up.
I'll light one up with you, Helvedale.
It works better if you light them, Helvedale.
I've been smoking these since I was 15, and I still have clean lungs, so.
Well, they have that all wrong too, and I have that on the Word of Force Specialist. So.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. That's the ironic thing about things is, why are people so quick in society to pass judgment on a person's perspective and what they see and find comforting? What we find comforting as a person is, I think that having a perspective of anything is fine, as long as we don't force that perspective on somebody else that disbelieves that certain belief that you have.
Yes.
Because we're all unique. Every one of us are unique. And I compared us to like a diamond, a chunk of coal. If we were a huge chunk of coal and we were buried in the ground and we were put under mass pressure for a long period of time, I think it's no different than human beings. We're on this earth put under massive pressure of society and trials and things that take place in life. But what happens is that piece of coal being under that pressure turns into a diamond. And so being refined on earth, it causes us to also become diamonds in the long run, because we don't know the sweet without the bitter. And I think that each one of us, in our own perspective, in our own experience, in our own life journey, we become cut to perfection in our own unique way that is different from anybody else that lives. And so each one of us are extremely valuable. Each one of us have its own value that's beyond comprehension, and yet people miss seeing it. They can't see it, and I think they don't see it because they don't open their eyes through a spiritual way. The word spiritual is taboo because it's religion. Well, no, I don't believe in religion, but I do believe
religion's an organization.
in Creator, and I do believe in spirit. I'm not an evolutionist, but I would never argue somebody else's belief. I believe that they find it out on their own. They will find it out on their own eventually. But we are all unique diamonds cut to perfection in our own way. And if you look at a diamond and you hold it up to the light, you'll see imperfection in it. You'll see little dark spots inside that diamond. They're little imperfections. But in the end, I think every one of those imperfections are taken out, and you're left being a perfect diamond cut to perfection that dwells for eternity in a beautiful place.
Yes, I agree completely.
I do too.
Yeah, without trials, then we won't get strong without trials. Without something to give us that edge, we have to have strength in life, and without that to give us strength, then we'd just be worms on the ground. And,
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. I think there's something about this world that happens to, in its own way, refines us, and it causes us to learn and gain wisdom. And I think as long as we don't become a closed box of closed thinking, and open to suggestion and opinion and perspective, without argument, without hate, without dissent. But at the same token, we have to have some agreeable goals, and we have to have some agreeable laws that say that we do not hurt human beings, we do not hurt mankind, we do not, we don't do anything that is distraught or unhealthy for a family. And of course, everybody has their own opinion on as to what's unhealthy for a family. But let's just say, as long as they're to live and let live, and do not destroy this earth that we live on, I think the rest of the things are details. And I think that we need to focus on the big thing. That's love. And love and hate.
Absolutely.
I agree. Love is the key. That is the key to all of this.
the one law.
Yeah.
The one law. Everything is connected. We're all one thing. Everything. The whole universe is one universe.
I think we know
We're all
it.
connected. We're all connected. We're all part of it. We're all part of each other in a way.
Yeah.
What Obi was talking about a while ago is, about children being born into the world pretty much pure. I believe deep down inside of us, we all know what is in the most basic sense, what is right and what isn't.
Absolutely.
And that we will naturally work together if we're not interfered with. I mean, that's one of the things that I think the reason they took recess away, because children will automatically they'll naturally organize and they'll work together.
Yes. Good point, Dis.
And
Whereas
have fun doing it.
The structure through the
Yes.
authority figures, I wonder about that.
Well, people, I love all of you very, very much. I do have a family to take care of, and I've got children that need dinner. I've got a mama that's waiting for me. So I've got to go, as much as I'd love to stay. And I do hope we do this again. And to everybody out there in the audience, I love you all, and great big hugs. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Obi, I'm so glad you came on. Hell of a deal. Man, I love you, bro. You know that.
I'm glad
And
I got to
Sis-
have a hangout with you.
Yeah, wonderful. We need to do
Now,
it
Brady?
again. Yes.
Brady, we were thinking about doing this once a week, and weren't we, Dis?
Yeah.
We had.
If you'd be interested, we'd like for you to be a regular if you want to.
Oh, I would love to. I would love to be a regular.
Yes, just once a week we do this and get together, and wherever it goes, it goes. Obviously, we're all on the same page, and that actually helps because we promote something greater when we're all on the same page, and that is awesome. And Obi, it's a pleasure that you got it fixed so you could be with us.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, great big
But,
hugs
Ray, I
and a
know
whole
you-
bunch of love. I got to pop out of here. I'll catch you guys next time. And bravo to the audience. I would like audience participation, though, if they'd start asking questions and sharing their thoughts, whether they want to get on or not. We could read their questions off and we could answer, or do some research. They could give us some ideas, because, man, it's all of us. It's not one of us, two of us, 5 of us, 10 of us. It's all of us.
That's right.
That's where the difference is. The betterment, the
I
goodness.
Well, we'll try to get that up and running next time. I can straighten out my browser issues here. I can take questions from outside through this now, I think.
And I
But it has to go
actually
the
like that
external page.
idea because we learn from I learn from the audience just as much as we learn from each other. And
Yes.
on here, nobody's a leader. We all try to compliment each other, and that's how it is. No one's a leader, no one's a follower. We are all here together because we've united, and we try to compliment each other with what we do. No one's above or better or lesser or anything, and
That's what keeps it
that's how
beautiful.
yeah, and everybody's information, even you guys out there in the chat room chatting with us, is just as important than what we have to say here. I mean, so please, I agree. The audience participation is actually probably a greater deal, and the research, I like researching, so if somebody wants us to research something, throw it in there. Give me something to do. Or the rest of us, too. They might already know. Love you, Ray. And I'll talk to you very, very soon.
We love you, Ray.
Okay, big hugs, guys.
I love you.
All right.
And what is the audience saying? Has anybody checked? Because I had to go take a quick break for a minute, and I haven't refreshed this in a while.
I'm trying to. This thing's getting quite squirrely on me. I'm just trying to keep it from crashing.
I will tell you what, I'll refresh and go check things out. How's that? That work? Yeah, it'll work.
That's all good.
Okay, let's see what's going on here. This, are you the comment? I hope not. No, not that I'm not that way.
Oh.
Okay, here we go.
I'm.
Obad says, I call it looking outward as opposed to inward. Tommy Sock's still here. Hey, bro. I like to ask those jets have blown head gaskets. I think he's talking about chemtrails. Obad, well, it's been good to see you all. Sorry about the name, Linda. I do understand a lot of people find it hard to call someone Obad, but if you knew me on one-on-one, you would know why I call myself that. Oh, I spent a lot of time training and being in gyms, and I had a bag that was old, but it was my face, so I called myself that after that. I suppose it's ironic, LOL. I'm 42 years old, and love and peace to you all. Good night. They're going to sleep. And you know what? We have had a good audience tonight. Everybody seemed to be on the same page. We always get some down, so don't let that offend anybody that's on this panel. I think it's just a natural thing now that we get some down.
Hey, that shows progress. You gotta have trolls to make it in this world, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good sign. If you get a troll, that's a good sign. That means the government's watching.
Yeah, they're paying attention.
Well, don't say that. I can publish. I publish a video, and as soon as I press publish, it's got to come down. And it's like, well, how did that happen? So, obviously, the government. Am I echoing?
Yeah, you got your volume on your YouTube page on, I think.
No.
No?
Is everybody got headphones
There,
on?
stopped just then. I'm on headphones. Yeah, it stopped.
Okay.
No.
Let me turn this volume down. I don't want to echo.
You're not echoing no more, I don't think.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Obi, it's been a pleasure that you came on. So you will come on again, right?
Oh, absolutely. I'd be more than happy to.
I
And
know.
I'm very glad to be a part of the conversation. And you know, I sit there and I see all your guys' posts all the time, and some really fantastic stuff. And yeah, I certainly appreciate being here.
Well, I wanted to do something because I know that uh, you know. I call this the English the slave language, and I know everybody else thinks that pressing one for English is like a big deal when there's over 500 different languages spoke in North America. Um, but I heard you're something you know a little bit about this language, slave language that I talk about.
Yeah,
Is
yes, about
um,
a lot of the language and the history behind it, and the well, a lot of it having been cursed and through there's so many things that they've done with language. Every letter in the alphabet and all the languages that were created.
Well, I would like to do just sometime or another, and this, if this is okay with you, have one hangout on that. I've told you, we've talked about it before, me and Dis. It's kind of I guess it's a pet peeve of mine that people comprehend this language, because this language means, and we won't get into it tonight, but this language is something to those in power, and it actually, the way they use it makes us slaves, and we actually are participating just using this language in our slavery. Um,
Yeah, when they look at it completely, they it's been very scientifically studied under them, and they've implemented it. We certainly don't see it the same as they do.
Correct. And there are certain words I try not to use. However, I still fall into using those words that I disagree with. But some people and I did want to go into this, didn't realize that we have many nations here that speak a different language, and English is not the original language of North America, and it shouldn't be a requirement that everyone speak English. To me, I think everybody should learn several languages myself. Just a personal, that is my humble opinion.
Yeah, I do too. I've studied a couple different languages, and I'm obviously not fluent in anything but English. But one of them that I do study that I find very intriguing and have a lot of respect for is the Sioux language, and and so yeah,
Well,
communication.
there's absolutely, in the Cherokee alphabet, I think there's 84 letters, or in that, which makes it a more expressive language, and things mean, there's things, even the Sioux language, because I know they've got a lot too. The thing is, there's things you can't explain in English that if you look at one of those languages, you can explain, and you can't translate it to English is the problem.
No. You know, and it's amazing to me that they've actually taken the time. They've actually taken, they've had enough time to sit and spend so long on intricately evaluating a certain language and you know, and using it for their own purpose. I mean, it's actually quite intriguing when you get into it and start understanding what they've done with languages, and at least what their purpose of it was, and what their motives of the language was. And but I also came to find, you know, to believe that it's all up to the person that's communicating the words and the intent behind the words for that person. You know,
Very true.
somebody else may have devised it to have another purpose through for sinister reasons or for something else, but I think the person speaking the language, as long as they're communicating to the other person and they're doing it with the goodness in their heart, then with no poor intent, then it's certainly not a, that's what counts. But it is very interesting. It's very interesting what they've done with it.
We should do a chat just for that. Guess what do you say? I mean, like 1 week we do one on the language.
Yeah,
Well, sure.
Okay, good. I didn't think you'd mind because it's really been to me it is a slave language because it has two sets of meanings. Almost every word we speak has two sets of meanings, and I'm not just even looking up the words. Even the way we put them in a sentence is backwards to the rest of most languages. So it is subject. I see memes that say. That come across my feed, repost this if you agree we shouldn't, that English, you shouldn't have to press 1 for English. And whereas I think we should almost start a new language that they don't understand, and that word right there is a bad word to use, so that they don't comprehend, be it a code or whatever. Because understand right there, that word right there is one that makes you a slave. So, but essentially what I'm saying is English is a slave language, and why would anyone want to continue with that?
Sure, and it is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Linda. It is very interesting when you get into it and you start evaluating it, and in all actuality, they've had people that, when they were creating the language, every alphabet that they have in the English language, it's why they call it spelling, is because they actually did witchcraft and spells over and you'll find documentaries and information on that. But it is interesting. It's very interesting.
Well, and then that's just the same as what they did with, when you got your, when we got the Catholic, the Vatican, or whatever over here and took in the indigenous peoples, we used to be able to communicate just through the ley lines in the land. And, they knew where to gather, and they made us re-sing. You do know that, right? Re-sing things into the ley lines, which kind of scrambled the natives up a little bit. Like some children were forced to sing stuff into ley lines where natives could speak through the earth to get to other, it's like the internet, except they use the earth. And now that's all twisted and mangled, and that's a whole another topic also, which I don't want to go into. I know that for the Aboriginals in Australia, the rainbow serpent, they used to sing into it, and everybody used to know when to gather. And then they did the same thing in Australia. They took children and made them sing what they wanted into, which messed up the Aboriginals, way of life. They couldn't sing into their major ley line there and know when to meet and gather for, be it ceremony or a meeting that needed to take place. So we've kind of been messed up all over, and we need to straighten that out. So every time I walk, I talk to the earth in a native language and try to get some of that balance back. And even talking to water, just streams and stuff, because it flows, to get balance back. And hell of a deal, do you think I'm crazy?
No, I pray over my water before I drink it.
Good.
Water knows what to think.
The thing is that they did a vast study of water molecules, and they had there's an extremely good book that refers to the science and the study that they did on it. But they actually took water and they took an environment or a person that was inducing very negative thoughts and talking very negative to the water. And while he was doing that, they were doing microscopic evaluations of the water in all different ways, and then they did the same thing with a person in a totally different environment, speaking very positive, loving thoughts and sound resonance to the water. And amazingly enough, the information that they got back in the study was that the talking to the water negative actually had a huge effect on the water molecules and the way that they moved and reacted. It almost brought a sense of stagnancy to the water and death. And to the water that was being talked to in a positive manner, they actually started to represent and show a type of almost like a snowflake that.
Yeah, it's the vibration.
Yes, it's very, very beautiful. It's quite intriguing.
That was a Japanese scientist that did that study, I believe.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes, it was.
Many studies have been done, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
The phenomenon was first noticed in plants. And then, you know, plants are mostly water, and we're mostly water. The water within us has memory, too.
Well, that's an awesome point, Des. That's the fact there is we're made up of so much water. I mean, if it has that effect on a body of water in itself, just think of what that negative energy does to us.
Exactly.
Well, and here's something. Here's an experiment you do at home, and we did it about 4 years ago. I took it was filtered water, and I put hate on it, and I put another one that said love on it. And when I was angry, I talked to the hate one and took out my anger on the hate. And then on the love one, when I was in a good mood, I said the positive things. And anybody can do this experiment and test it for yourself, because everything you just said is true. And then I got my neighbor, who was an unsuspecting part of my experiment. I told him there was going to be an experiment with water, to drink the water. The hate water he spit out. The taste was even bad. The love water he drank, and he felt wonderful. So that right there, you can do this at home, and you'll have to use somebody as a guinea pig, you know. But he wouldn't even swallow the hate water because it tasted so bad. So that is what we can put on. Yes, so praying over water is definitely speaking to your water, talking to plants. You know, I smudge. I do all kind of weird things. So, you know, it's
isn't it quite intriguing though? I mean, when you think about it, I mean, even the rivers and creeks that run throughout the earth. You know, the Native American folks believe that that's the veins of Mother Earth, and that that you know, a flowing river is dancing and moving, and it stays extremely healthy and vibrant. But if you take a body of water that stops moving, stops dancing, then it becomes stagnant and dies. And you know, I think that there's so many variables in nature that if we look at and actually we look into and identify for the things that are going on in nature, there are so many things in common that we have with nature that it gives us a lot of answers as to how to live healthy.
Yeah, and all that empirical evidence is just screaming at us, but we don't have the ears to hear it for the most part.
You're so right, yes, that's a fact.
That is a fact. And you know, also, if you look at patterns in nature right there, this is not just for those people who believe in evolution or not a creator. If you go out and if you lay it down and look at trees and the wind slightly blows, if you're laying down on the ground looking up at trees and the wind slightly blows, trees talk to one another. It's just a fact. Just go try it for yourself and see what happens. You'll pick up on that energy.
It is a fact, and a tree puts out, we put out carbon monoxide, and a tree puts out oxygen, and we exchange the two. Our DNA is almost identical to a tree. You know, we have so much in common.
And we cannot live without them, and I just think people should go out and see how trees connect, how animals connect, how animals do some predatory animals will actually take care of something. If they're full, will take care of another animal. I mean, nature is actually beautiful if you can watch it, and sometimes it's cruel looking, but it's a part of the world we live in. However, I've seen nature to be more beautiful than cruel, with my observation and my perspective. And we should give thanks for everything we have. Every time the nature provides us something, you should give thanks and an offering. I actually still do that. You know, that's people call it paganism, and then I'm sure the thumbs down, and I'll later be called earth worshiper. But yes, I do worship the creation because without it.
There's a perfect example, though, Linda, of perspective, and each one of us have a perspective. And for one person to look at another person and dishonor their perspective and thumbs down their perspective, then they might as well thumbs down their own perspective, because you know, the fact is that everybody is on their own journey, and if they can find some beauty in something, if they can find something that creates some sort of comfort, then how could that be a bad thing? You know, and you know. But that's just one thing that we all have.
Yes, we all are on our own journey, and all we can do is compliment one another on that journey and help each other on that journey. I seek help on my journey. I know me and Dis, you and I talk for hours.
Yeah.
I ask you all kind of questions.
I think nature's trying to tell us something, whether or not we believe in a creator or whatnot. Nature's, sorry about that, wrong button.
If we rely on our own
Nature is
perspective,
trying to tell us something. You know, it has a story, and it has secrets, and it's right there for us to see, and it's trying to tell us. But you know, if we've got a particular mindset that is blocking this information, we're never going to see it.
If we rely on our own knowledge and wisdom, then we're blinding ourselves because we're not listening to other people's perspectives on it. It's like the guys with the blindfolds trying to see what an elephant is, you know. Oh, we say it's a tree, no, it's a snake. Well, we're not listening to everybody's perspective, so why argue about what we don't know? You know, we know what we know, let's share it, and let's learn from everybody else. I mean...
Yeah, even a busted clock is right twice a day.
That's right. That's the only way we'll get through this is to acknowledge that everyone on this earth is our brother and sister. And when an injustice happens to anyone on this earth, it's happening to us also, and we need to stand up with them. Be it whatever color, whatever country, whatever gender, we need to stand up and you know, that's why I say governments are in such, that's unnatural. They're the ones that create wars. We have no say-so in that. We, the people, have no say-so. We cannot influence those who have set themselves above us. But we can turn our back on them. If everybody did, then yes, I think you said they would be answering yes, yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, and yes, sir, and no, sir.
Well, absolutely.
If we did that.
Absolutely. I mean, if we can come together and voice our opinions and our oppositions and stand our ground, I mean, it didn't stop them from going into Syria eventually, as an example, but it did stop them from just making war straight up and dragging us into it.
You're absolutely right.
That was
Have influence. They do rely on our acquiescence and our compliance.
You bet they are, and they're always identifying as to whether or not. See, you know, that's another thing that the internet did that we have to understand is that it gave them one big mindset of society as a whole. And so they were able to identify somewhat of the mindset. I mean, they've got psychotherapists and psychologists galore that are identifying people's mindsets on the internet to find out a global attitude. And that is when they start to make implement their ideas or what they feel to be a good move or a beneficial move, for them. But
yeah, like forecasting the stock market, they're doing that with our attitudes so that they can time their actions.
Yeah, absolutely. And
well, the vigilant.
The thing about it is that there is there's very effective science behind it, and they have found it to work in their benefit at times. What we need to do is realize that we as a people, we absolutely have more power than together if we unite as a people with a common understanding of goodness for people. For the health of families, for doing the right thing. I guess that's kind of the problem is that everybody has their own idea as to what right is, and that can be confusing.
Yes, it can.
Oh, we have to start with basics. We have to get back to basics, I think.
I agree.
Get things down to the simple and small enough bites to where we're getting somewheres, at least on the most basic level, and that's everything has to have its beginning. Every bigger picture is got to have its puzzle piece put together. One and one makes two, and it gets a little bigger.
I agree. If we took one problem, instead of paying attention to all the drama and the details that are about one event, let's just get to the core of the event and judge as to whether or not it's good or evil, and take care of the problem. And instead of all this controversy that takes place that builds and builds, and then we never get to the core of the problem, and it continues to escalate, and we usually don't end up where we want to be.
Absolutely.
We have a nature towards group association and group activity, but that's played against us, and where we're steered towards this thing or that. I say, if it seems that what you need to resist in this world is trying to steer you towards focusing on this, ignore it and look for something else to pay attention to. There's always going on behind the curtain.
I think people put too much into symbols, because some of the symbolism means something different to me and my culture and your culture, Obi, and everybody places things on this symbolism where, so somebody hijacked the symbolism, put the good back into these symbols, and we might could change things too, because obviously it manifests. If it's manifesting evil, let's put the goodness back in it.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing is that you can implement. You can take pretty much many things and turn it for good rather than bad.
Yeah.
Perhaps we should create our own symbols, and perhaps we should create our own different new symbols.
I think
our right brain to enhance our left.
You guys, I'm going to have to get off here. I've got to cook dinner.
Oh.
Yeah, that's scary, isn't it? I'm not a cook like your mom, Obi.
Well, you know what, you guys, I thank you sincerely for the conversation. It was an excellent conversation, and perhaps we'll do this again soon. So, and Linda, thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
You bet, and I will. I won't go yet. As soon as when I see you guys online, I'll see you online and post to your posts, and you guys take care of yourself.
Okay, and before you go, I really do want you to do a chat with us. I think we're going to do this every week, and like we invited your mom, we would love her to be on here every week with us. But if we could get you on that language, because maybe that would open some people's eyes up, you know, and stop some of the hate, because they seem to hate. Some people are still caught in this matrix. I'm just going to use that word since I finally watched the movie. You know, for the longest time, I didn't know what people were talking about. In 2013, I watched the first Matrix. So that's how backwards I am. But I think that if people realize this language that we speak, the spells and the slave language it is, maybe they wouldn't hate other cultures so much as they do right now, and that could maybe broaden the spectrum of waking some people up and things. So I would, if you wouldn't mind doing that, I would actually love you to come on and talk about that.
Not at all. I'd be happy.
That would be so wonderful.
I think part of finding a solution is being able to identify the wrongs in things, and wrongs that have been done to certain things have to be identified, you know, before we can really find a solution. And it's very, very wise to be aware of, you know, of what we're using and what's inflicting us with certain things. There is power in words, you know, and you know, but I would absolutely be more than happy to do that, Linda, and we'll set a date. We'll be in touch, and the rest of you folks take care of yourself, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, that sounds awesome.
All right, man.
And
You too.
Now I got it. I'm gonna get off here. Hell of a deal.
Yes.
Are you so? It was a pleasure. Please, it was a pleasure, and I'm sorry you jumped on late in the chat, and maybe we'll hang out again sometime here. With this chat's kind of went on a long time, and I really do have to cook some dinner and check on some animals and other things here. But this was awesome that we did this. I think it's time we do it again, you know, and continue doing it like once a week. And Cat Ruby, thank you. I have to say something. Cat Ruby, thank you, my sister. We do. We need to put the power back into the original symbols for the good of the human race, period. And that was just what's left to us. So, all right, guys, I'm going to click off. You guys can continue this. Just thank you for doing this. I love you, brother.
Oh, love you too, sister. No problem at all. And I want to say thanks to everybody that come out to listen, and I want to say thanks to everybody that come out to talk with us.
Absolutely. And I'm sure me and you'll talk tomorrow, so I'll probably talk to you tomorrow, Dis.
All right.
And I'm going to kick it on off now and get some dinner going. Love everybody. Good night, y'all, and I love all of you.
And I guess that'll be about the end of it. I'd just for the heck of it, I'd like to leave everybody with these this parting notion. This was postulated that a team of monkeys with typewriters could, given time, type all the great novels of the world. So hey, anything's possible, folks. Y'all have a good night. Thanks for coming out.